Hello, everybody, and welcome back to your favorite podcast out of all of the ones that you listen to. This is Dan and Frankie Go to Hollywood. My name is Dan.
And I'm Frankie.
And I forgot I was going to do that thing where I go, I am Frankie, and see what your reaction is. But, yeah. Well, one day. I'm going to surprise you, and it's going to be comedy gold. Yes, we are here once again, as always, to discuss lots of movies, things that we've seen, things that we'd like to see, things that we wish we hadn't seen. I don't know. It's all here. Yeah. How have you been? It's been a couple of weeks.
A couple of weeks of stress. So, but that's why I'm glad I like movies. So I can just avoid life for a while and live in a movie, which is fun, except for the bad movies.
Yes.
But that most of them are not bad.
Yeah, well, that's always
so that's
a good
good.
thing.
And also when I feel stressed, I buy things to make myself feel better. So I've spent a fair bit of money over the last couple of weeks, which is not great. But I have...
Is that on drugs and
nice
alcohol,
or...? No, it's on movies and music.
All right. What's some of your favourite things that you've bought?
Oh, man. Now you've got me thinking. I've ordered some more Radiance titles. I got a new Mike Patton record.
Excellent.
I got... Oh, I don't even know. I just see things.
You've
things,
bought that
much
stuff that you can't even remember.
I did a Eureka order and got some silent films. It's just, it's just things I have on my wish list, and I'm like, oh, that's a bit cheap. I should buy that now.
Yeah.
And records and things. I just before you came online and we called each other, I just purchased a record on eBay.
Oh wow, what did you get?
It's called Music for the Stars. It's a compilation that came out that just has this music from, I think, late 60s into the 70s.
Okay.
And a lot of it I'd never even heard of, but it sounds pretty cool. And
yeah, right.
I think it was being sold through Mondo. And I just did a Mondo order for the Barb and Star Go to Vista Del Mar soundtrack.
Nice.
And what else did I order? I sent you the picture.
Yeah, I know, but I don't pay attention.
I did... I got 3. Oh yeah, the Don't Worry Darling soundtrack, which is 60s music, and something else. Anyway,
yeah.
But they had this. Oh, it was the psychedelic, the lounge and exotica.
Right.
Thing, which Music from the Stars came out the same time as that, but they must have sold out on the Mondo site. But it got in my head again, and then I thought, oh, I'll just look around and see, and it's all $68 up to $90 or whatever, but then a record store in Perth had it for $48 including shipping.
Wow. Oh, that's good.
Records are so expensive now.
I know, it is so... It just blows my mind, the fact that, what everyone thought was going to be an antiquated, form of media has come back, but is so expensive. I don't know.
It's pretty
really
crazy that a record drops under 50 and you're like, bargain, gotta get it now while it's this cheap.
Exactly, I know.
Although I did also just win an eBay thing for a lot of 5 secondhand Billy Joel records for $50.
Right, because you're on a Billy Joel thing now, aren't you?
Yeah, I didn't realise how many... It's so funny. Probably laugh because it's Billy Joel. But if you'd asked me a while back to name Billy Joel songs, I would tell you 4 and be like, I don't know. And then I listened to a best of playlist and there's over 20 songs that I know.
Oh,
and I didn't realise that I knew.
Yeah,
so I was like, wow, I had no idea that I liked so many Billy Joel songs that I've just heard over the years.
But these just aren't frivolous purchases because good old Billy is inspiring you in a way. What else have you been getting into lately?
Well, I haven't yet because...
Or planning to.
That's how things... Yeah, well, because, obviously Billy Joel plays piano on quite a number of his songs. And that gets me thinking, as I think all the time, I should get back into playing piano, which I've never played properly, but I teach myself every so often, and then I just stop. And so I bought this super easy piano book of Billy Joel songs.
Cool.
And I have a bunch in the cupboard of just easy versions of popular songs. So yeah, I'm gonna try again to learn
Well,
piano,
good.
and I would do guitar, but piano is easier because you don't have to tune
Yeah.
it. I
Yeah.
can't play by ear, so it's really hard for me to tune a guitar and know that I've done it right. And you have to have the app and listen and all of that, and plus frets and getting your fingers in the right spot. Piano, you just gotta work out which keys.
Exactly. And besides, the guitar journey is mine, so keep your damn hands off because,
Yeah, you've
yes,
started lessons too.
I have started lessons, and I'm quite fond of my teacher. So yeah, I recently a couple of weekends ago went and saw Alice Cooper performing, and one of his guitarists is ranked one of the world's best guitarists, a lady by the name of Nita Strauss. Um, and she is just one of my most favorite guitarists. She's one of my most favorite, like, female empowerment icons. And she's just such a damn good human being to the fans and everyone, just really down to earth. And I found out that she has an online guitar course, which I looked into. And aside from being ridiculously cheap, the reviews for it were phenomenal. So I am now being taught guitar by none other than Nita Strauss, and yeah, no, it's been really really good. Yeah, it is kind of hard, but like she does this thing where if there's a thing like I'm learning open string chords at the moment, and like minors and majors, and it's things like I've because I mean, yeah, I've been playing musical instruments for so long, but just on a kind of Sid Vicious level, like I don't really know too much about the finer details of music, and I never really knew what the difference between a minor and a major chord was, but as she broke it down, major chords sound happy, minor chords sound sad. Like
Yeah.
that's it. Like she just
Yeah.
breaks things down really easily, and so but I'm on this part at the moment where she's basically said, look, do not go any further in this course until you have mastered this stuff, and I like that. It's kind of like, okay, I don't really want to go any further if that's what she tells me to do. So so no, I'm really enjoying it. I'm really I mean, aside from the fact that I actually get to tell people that Nita Strauss is my guitar teacher, which just sounds all sorts of cool. I'm just looking forward to finally figuring out how to play properly. So yeah.
And also, by the way, for anyone listening, all the music we have for our intro and outro and in between and whatever is all done by Dan. So it's not
Yeah.
stock music for us.
No, no,
We've
no,
got the
no.
musician.
I know that's the thing. Like, I mean, but even that stuff was just done with the basics.
Yeah.
Like I want to learn how to do guitar solos and cool stuff like that, and I'm pretty sure that the better you get at guitar, the longer your hair grows, and you can like flip it around while you're shredding on stage and stuff. Like I
That's why you're growing your hair again.
well, see, that's not me. That's the
It's
guitar. Yeah, exactly. It is channeling through me, and it is making my hair grow. And like, I can't help it. Like, I reckon I could go out and get a haircut tomorrow. If I sit down and start playing the guitar and everything, by the next morning, it'll be down to my shoulders again. So yeah, that's that
Dan's
is.
looking very 90s at the moment with his hair, like heartthrob 90s boy kind of style.
It is, and not gonna lie, I'm enjoying it. It's making me feel 20 years. No, oh no, wait, 30 years younger. Oh shit, I did that thing, didn't I? Where it's like,
Yeah, you don't think about stuff like that. You should have just left it as looking 90s and
just
stuck with
moved
that.
on.
Yeah.
Yeah, damn it, 30 years anyway. All right, but in the meantime, aside from our musical endeavors and not getting haircuts and things like that, so you said you've been watching some movies. What you been checking out
Yeah.
lately?
Well, let's start with one we both saw.
Kinda.
Yeah.
Ooh.
Abigail.
Yes, Abigail. What did you think of Abigail?
I liked it. I didn't love it, which I was hoping to. I actually, I just found it quite slow starting. I don't know if that's. I just heard recently that the directors apparently originally didn't want it to be known that it was a vampire movie. And I do kind of wonder if it was sort of written in that way, and that's why there's such a build up before you find out. Because if you didn't know, that would be. I look forward to people in the future who will just have a friend say, "Hey, do you want to watch this movie?" and just not know that it's a vampire movie.
Well, remember when you said that to me, and I was like, "Oh, no, 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 I disagree with that because a lot of the reason I wanted to see it was because it was a vampire movie, so I'm glad they told me." Having kind of watched it, I'm actually, I see where they're coming from. It would have been a really cool surprise if they had just marketed it somehow as this thing about kidnapping a girl, or I don't know.
Yeah, well, they could have showed some of the like violent stuff
Yeah.
without giving away that it was to do with vampires, so you'd still know the kind of movie you were getting into. But just because they talked about the whatever the name of the guy was that worked for the dad that everyone was scared of, so they had that whole thing there to kind of get it going. But and I just didn't particularly like the characters at the beginning.
Right.
I kind of they grew on me a bit, and it was pretty interesting because Dan Stevens was like an annoying jerk at the start, and then his level of jerkness just went up so high as the movie went on that it went from being annoying to being really entertaining. So that was pretty fun.
Yeah, right. Well, I sort of saw the film. So Kylie, my beloved fiance, and I went to a Saturday midday session. That was probably our first mistake. Because, I've been looking forward to this film. Like, Radio Silence, I think, are great filmmakers and stuff. Like, Ready or Not is just still, to me, one of the best horror films that's come out in, the last decade or whatever. So we sat down and... I don't like stereotyping people, but when you get three prepubescent boys who walk into the theater and one of them has a mullet that should have got him arrested. No, I'm talking like his hair was really close cropped, all over, except the back was really long. Like it was an extreme mullet, and he was probably about 10, and he just... again, profiling's not good, but you can tell that this kid, his dad is either in jail at the moment or has been copying it up the butt from everybody, and his mum most likely gives hand jobs for meth. That's the kind of kid that he looked like. I have anger issues that I need to get out here. So these three kids walked in, and I'm like, okay, this is going to be a problem, So they went and sat at the back. Anyway, so the movie starts, and Kylie and I start getting twisties thrown at us. For those overseas, it is a form of chip or crisp, however you'd like to say it. I'm sitting there like, okay, this isn't cool at all. So I put my food down. I'm like, all right, if we get hit with one more thing, I'm going out to complain. So that stopped. I was like, all right, fine. But then, oh my God, these three idiots were just yelling and like, I mean yelling. They weren't just quietly chattering or whatever. They were carrying on like absolute jabronis, as a friend of ours would say. I was just like, look, nah, I'm done. That's it. And I got up to go and complain, but you're the same sort of person, right? If you miss a section of a movie, it's like, well, what's the point, I missed, I don't know how long I missed of it, like several minutes, because by the time I got to the counter, I had to wait for someone to come home, and so they went and gave the kids a stern warning, which didn't really do much, because they went through the entire film like and yelling racial slurs at the black character and all this sort of stuff. I'm just sitting there like, wow, parenting, good job, people. I pretty much sat for the rest of the film just kind of watching it, but not really. So I think I liked it. I really do. Like, I'm looking forward to watching it on streaming or whatever, so I can because that was the thing. Like, I had the option to watch it on streaming, but we thought, look, let's give it a chance on the big screen. Let's support cinema and stuff, and look where that got us. So
that's the thing these days, is you never know. And so I'm glad we go to a lot of premieres, because that's for people who care about movies.
Yes. Yeah. I mean, that's the thing. Like, I have never before gone up to complain. Like, never in my life. Generally, I find if there's people talking or whatever, it's inconsistent, or if there's someone on a phone, it just sort of happens briefly here and there, and you can just sort of tell people, hey, you're in a cinema. But yeah, it's because I sort of figured, like, I can't do anything with these kids, so I've got to go and rat on them. So yeah, but they didn't do much either. So anyway, I'm very looking forward to actually checking it out properly, because I think I enjoyed it, but we will see. Yeah. What else you got?
Well, I'm just going to get these out of the way. These were the movies that I wasn't really into, but I just kind of... I don't know. One, it's weird how you kind of have a movie that you think is pretty terrible, but then you kind of think about it afterwards.
Mm-hmm.
So I've been in I kind of stopped, but I was in a comedy mood.
Right.
And so I was picking them out, and rom-coms and things. And we were talking about, I mentioned Bill Hader last time, because we were having our poker team.
Mm-hmm.
And so I thought, I'll watch Trainwreck that he's in.
Mm-hmm.
And as a lot of reviews point out, that's an apt title.
Okay.
Because it's a rom-com.
Mm-hmm.
But I didn't feel any chemistry between them.
Right.
The girl was kind of annoying and mean.
Mm-hmm.
Bill Hader's character was good, but kind of boring.
Right.
But what's interesting was, because I sat through this movie not really caring about them, and I was just like, and when he's a doctor, and there's a big drama because he's got to do this surgery, and she's having issues with him, so she wants to keep yelling at him so he can't sleep when he's got this surgery and all this. And I'm like,
okay.
Just that's the big drama thing of it, because, I mean, not a spoiler because it's a rom-com, so there's a big drama. And I was just like, I'll just leave her, just don't even worry. But of course, that's not going to happen. But sitting through this movie going, this is terrible, and then the end was so good.
Oh, wow, okay.
Which is kind of the opposite of when a movie gets ruined by a bad ending. This one got better, mainly because of Bill Hader's reactions, because there's the whole, I have to show him how much I love him, and so that's where the Billy Joel thing came from.
Okay. It all comes back to it.
Why did it come? Because Uptown Girls is in the thing. Anyway, and so there's just all this stuff, and so I had the rom-com feels and like that at the end, even though I didn't care. And Tilda Swinton's in it, and I didn't even recognize her.
Not surprising.
She played the boss of the girl. I can't remember the character's name. And she was great. She was such a bitch. She just came out with this stuff and just said blunt things, like having a moment and someone saying stuff, and she's just like, are we still talking? I don't care.
I like her already.
But yeah, she was so great. I had to look up afterwards. I'm like, who is that actress? She seems familiar, but I can't place who it is. And then, it was Tilda Swinton. But yeah,
so
she looks
versatile.
nothing like.
So many roles she does. I mean, in the what was it, the remake of Suspiria, she played a male character. Like, yeah, she is extremely versatile, and I love that about her. So
yeah, but this wasn't even like full makeup in that. It's just she had a wig, so she had completely different hair.
Right.
And just the makeup and the way that she looked. I mean, I don't know her really well, but yeah, she just looked completely unlike the typical, like, what you think of when you think of Tilda Swinton.
Yeah, right.
So anyway. So then, because I was on this rom-com comedy thing, I thought, I'll watch No Hard Feelings, because, that was a big recent movie that came out.
That I didn't mind from memory. I thought it was pretty good.
Yeah, it was terrible.
Wow, tell me how you really feel.
I didn't like it.
Mm.
I thought it was very like if that was gender reversed, I'm sure there would be like some kind of outcry about how much she was pressuring him and trying to have sex with him.
Oh, there's no doubt about that. Yeah.
Yeah, I didn't find that funny. So, um, anyway, Zahn McClarnon turned up, who's
Mm.
an actor. If that, I'm not sure I'm saying his name right, but anyway, which is pretty funny because I know I sent a
Mm.
message and I'm like, hey, I didn't know he was in this. That's really cool. And he had a great scene with a funny bit, and then like that was it. I kept hoping he'd turn up later because the movie was so bad, and he didn't.
Mm.
So, um, yeah.
Yeah, right. I must have watched it at a point where, like, oh, it must have been last year, I guess, like before I got back into Letterboxd because I.
Yeah.
Wow, you gave it 1.5. Okay, I definitely liked it more than that. Yeah, from memory, I just thought it was, good sort of disposable
No, I thought
entertainment.
Trainwreck was bad, and that I
Yeah,
actually
uh,
I would rather watch Trainwreck again.
yeah, right.
Mm.
Yeah. Okay, fair enough. Well, sorry to hear that. But on the subject of films that I from 2023 that I did like even more than that one, I finally got around to checking out a film called Blackberry, which is the true story basically of the two guys who invented the BlackBerry, and this like successful business guy came aboard and kind of took over their small fledgling company, and you know took it to new
Mm.
heights. I mean, obviously, the BlackBerry was massive, and the film starts off. I think it was in the 90s, and then it's going over the years, and you just know if keeping in mind that the smartphone came out in 2007, you're sort of like, okay, so this is the story of the Titanic. 2007 is going to be the iceberg, because that's where, of course, everything fell apart for them, and like that film was, my God, I didn't expect it was going to be as good as it was. I found it gripping from start to finish. And I mean, like the final shot before the end credits rolled, which is just heartbreaking. The cast was absolutely incredible. Jay Baruchel was the main actor in it, and uh, yeah, I don't know. And normally I kind of see him in sort of like stoner comedies and stuff. That's what I'm kind of used to him being in. But no, he was absolutely amazing, and I love that. Like when I say character, it was obviously a real person, but the way the story went, he was a completely different person by the end of the journey, which is great storytelling. There was also an actor named Glenn Howerton who has been in a ton of films I love, including Serenity. And yeah, he was the sort of pushy business guy, Jim Bolsoli, I think his surname was. And he was scary. Like, he's the sort of guy that. So it starts off, this company is just this group of nerds working out of a storage room kind of a thing, and spending most of their day just playing video games and shit. And, this guy just comes in when he sort of takes over the company and is just throwing things and breaking them to get everyone's attention and stuff. And it's just like, whoa, this guy means business, and yeah, it was a really fascinating story. It's the kind of thing that, if you think you know a lot about that sort of stuff, like, yeah, this film is an absolute must watch, because there is a lot more to that story than I thought there was going to be.
Yeah,
But
I
no,
meant
that
to
was
check that out,
absolutely a
but then
five-star
I
film for
forgot.
me.
But it's interesting how those kind of movies come out and get
Oh
praise, like
man, it's
the
good.
Air when that came out, and everyone's like, "Oh, you
Mm,
think it's gonna be something
mm,
silly, like they made a whole movie out of shoes." But apparently, I
mm.
still haven't got to
Yeah,
that
yeah,
yet. It's
yeah.
in my watch list, but yeah, apparently that's really good as well.
Mm. I wasn't a huge fan of that film, to be honest. I don't know. The subject matter, they didn't do enough of it to interest me. Whereas this film, on the other hand, when you've got scenes like this dude like designing this new BlackBerry, the new version of it, and Jim is sort of saying to him, "Okay, we've got a board meeting where we've got to show it off. Like in a few hours, you've got to put a prototype together." And the dude's like, "What do you mean?" Like, and he just basically builds this thing out of scrap parts and stuff, and it's like, man, that sort of stuff fascinates me. Not things like, oh, what colors should we put on the shoes? I don't know. So no, I found this one a hell of a lot more compelling than Air or pretty much a lot of other sort of true story films of that ilk that I've seen. But yeah, so yeah, no, that was definitely a good one. Highly recommended.
Well, I had a surprise with one of the dodgy B movies from my Brad Dourif stack that I decided to check out. Oh yeah.
Wow, still on the Brad Dourif kick.
I've still got so many things from my eBay trawling to find these random old things. Yeah.
And he has been in over 1,000
This one's called
films,
Dead
I'm
Scared,
pretty sure.
also
Yeah.
called The Hazing. And so it starts off like a bad porno film where what's her name that you like? Yeah, she's trying to
Oh,
seduce
Brooke
Brad
Burke.
Dourif, who's a
Yeah.
professor, and um, he has a collection of all these weird things that she's talking to him about, and then she's like, "Oh, I have to go to this costume party. Can I get changed here?" And then, of course, she comes out like half undressed, and then he kills her because he's needs her for some ritual thing for this thing he has. So that's the opening, and then it cuts to
Right.
these like sorority and fraternity
Yeah.
pledges, and they have to do a scavenger hunt thing. And one of the items on the scavenger hunt is this thing. Is it a book or something that the professor has? And so it's basically stealing all
Right.
these different things, like a road sign and whatever. And then a couple of them get the book from the professor, like find this dungeon area he has in his house and interrupt him in his ritual and steal the book. But the gateways opened, whatever, and it's like a cross between Evil Dead and
Ooh.
Night of the Demons. And so they have to spend the night in this creepy house where people were
Okay.
murdered in the past. And so there's like 5 or 6 of them, and they're all in this house. And then the two of the people from the fraternity, sorority people have rigged the house to do things to scare them. But then, of course, there's a real
Right.
spirit that comes to do stuff. But they basically end up trapped in the house. It like all the exits get closed, so they're stuck there. And so you're just following them trying to survive. And it's low budget, and it's really like you're laughing because it's so silly. But the characters were really
Yeah.
cool. And it's one of the actresses looked a lot like Fairuza Balk, which was interesting. And
Oh,
yeah,
okay.
I don't know,
Right.
it just
Right.
charmed me because the characters were so cool that you were just kind of in like the main group were pretty good, the rest no, but the main group that you're focusing on were all pretty good, and it was fun. So I had a really good time with it.
Okay.
Yeah.
Hey, yeah, good time. Well, I also watched a kind of a horror film. It was a film that wanted to be a horror film. I don't really know if it was. Yeah. See, Kylie and I have this list of movies that we want to show each other, and one of the ones on her list was a film from 2006 called Stay Alive, which is about a horror video game that when people play it, if they get killed in the game, they get killed in real life according to how they got killed. And there was like this whole thing, like a subplot involving Countess Elizabeth Bathory. God knows why she's in America, but that's just how they roll. And yeah, it was a film that I watched. That's about all I've got. I don't know. It's one of those things that it's kind of disposable, forgettable. It's not bad while you're watching it. I gave it 2 stars because yeah, that's the best I could do. But yeah, I would certainly never watch it again. I wouldn't really recommend it to anyone. But the worst part is that after we watched it and Kylie and I were rating it on Letterboxd, she also
Oh.
gave it 2 stars. And I'm like, why would you do that to me? Aren't we supposed to be showing films that, are like great films that
What
mean a lot
did
to
she
us
say the
both?
reason
And
why she wanted you to watch it?
yeah, yeah, because it's got
Oh,
sort of a
okay. The
nostalgia
kind
thing
of
for
thing that
her.
that
Like
transfers to
it's
people.
yeah, it's one of those things that it might not be a great film, but it's a time
But
and a place for
still, two
her or
stars.
something. So, yeah, yeah. Like I said, I have
Mm.
definitely seen worst films. There is no doubt about that. And it had Sophia Bush in it, which yeah. Look, that's fine. But yeah,
Hmm.
it was a movie.
Well, I
Yeah, that's all I
continued
got.
my X-Men journey this fortnight. I meant to do more, but I only got to
Mm.
one because of I had other things come up. But so I was up to X-Men Origins Wolverine,
Right.
which I was looking forward to because
Blech. Everyone hates that movie.
yeah, yeah, you're
Everybody.
ruining my
Absolutely.
build up to that.
I'm helping you out here. I'm leading you. So,
So I was looking forward to it
okay,
because
shutting up now.
Wolverine's obviously the best thing about the first three that I watched. So I was like, oh, a movie based on him. Yeah,
Mm-hmm.
let's go. And has a
Mm.
really cool intro with the sort of
Mm-hmm.
montage through the different wars and things that they're fighting through. And then, yeah, I liked this. I thought
Mm.
it was the best one so far. And then, as Dan already mentioned, I went online afterwards to log it and realized that everyone hates it. And I sent a message to Dan and he who shall
Yeah.
not be named because we name him every episode and said, "Oh, this is the best one so far." And Dan didn't see it, but I'm just gonna say because well, okay. So the other
Oh,
guy
really?
replied and said he thought the opposite, and yeah, and so did everyone else. And I don't know why, except
Mm.
a lot of reviews talked about Ryan Reynolds being in it and how bad it is for Deadpool. And I know nothing about Deadpool, so that
Mm.
was not an issue for me. And I thought he was fun in that, so maybe that helped
Mm.
me like it more. But of course, but mainly, no, I don't.
Yeah.
I don't know. Maybe it's a bit more focused story than like a huge cast of
Mm.
people to follow. I don't know, but I just enjoyed it more than the first
Mm.
three. So,
Well, that's good. Yeah, look, it's been a very long time since I've seen it, but I didn't hate it, by any means. But to me, it was
well,
kind
I
of
mean, the X
forgettable.
Men
I do
films
remember the
aren't
opening
like
scene, like you said, with the
masterpieces for
wars.
me. I rated this 3.5, which
Yeah, yeah. I'd probably, if I was gonna rate it, probably go about a 2.5, like just an average kind of a film. But yeah, no, it was the Deadpool stuff that really irked me. But you are going to love when you finally get around to watching Deadpool 2. The big in joke that they have with that version of Deadpool, like, oh my god, it is freaking fantastic, and I am
hmm.
not going to spoil anything, of course, but you are in for such a treat there.
Hmm.
So, no, I'm glad you enjoyed it. I watched a movie that was fine. It wasn't as good as I remembered it. There was a movie. Oh man, I've got this feeling that when I was doing my YouTube channel, um, I don't know if I reviewed this film or if I joined someone on a review of it, or someone suggested that I review it. But it was a movie that I watched years ago, called The Cat from Outer Space. And we watched it the same night as Stay Alive because Kylie showed me Stay Alive, and I was like, all right, I am going to show you The Cat from Outer Space now because of what you've just done to me. And I can't remember how far she got into it, but maybe about 20, 30 minutes, and she was asleep. So, yeah, sucks to be me. But So it's for anyone out there who likes talking cat movies, this is the one for you. Although this one, the cat communicates through telepathy, so you don't have any weird sort of animated mouths and stuff. Because this film was from 1978, but look, it is a really freaking good time. So this spaceship comes to Earth, and the most gorgeous kitty cat comes out of it, who is the alien. And he's stranded on Earth and has to repair his ship in order to go. And, he befriends this guy. Roddy McDowall is in the film as well. No other actors that I had ever heard of or worth mentioning. But, yeah, the cat's kind of, he's a pretty sassy character and stuff. And, yeah, I don't know. It's just, it's a good time. I did think that it was overly long. I don't know what the runtime of this film was. Oh, 104 minutes. Yeah, that was definitely way too long. It should have been like a 80-something, 90-minute film. But yeah, it's on Disney Plus, and yeah, look, I actually really recommend this movie.
Yeah, I think I have it in my list.
I don't
know if it was when Disney started and I was browsing, but I just remember coming across it one day and thought, oh, I have to watch that one day.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. No, I'm definitely glad I gave it a rewatch. Yeah, no, it's a lot of fun, and yeah, again, just for cat lovers, oh my god, it is absolutely essential viewing. So yeah, that was one of the stranger ones on my list that I've watched over the last 2 weeks.
Well, I got notification that Where the Devil Roams was available for streaming on Tubi. And that's the latest film from the Addams Family. So I I went straight on to watch it. Well, not straight on, but, within a week. And
for those who don't know who the Addams
Zelda
family
Addams,
are.
Toby Poser, John Addams, Lulu Addams. So it's like husband, wife, and their 2 daughters. And a lot of friends and family turn up in all their films too. Like when you look through the credits, you're like, oh, there's another Addams, and lots of repeating names. So obviously, yeah, they've got quite a good little community there for their things. And so this is along the lines of Hellbender in that it's kind of more of a mood one, whereas I watched The Deeper You Dig, and that was a bit more of a sort of normal narrative story. So this one, it's a family in a sort of carnival thing that travel. It's a husband and wife and their daughter. And there's this other guy in the carnival that has this power that he can cut off his fingers and stitch them back on. And so part of it is the thing with that. I don't want to say too much. There's not a lot. People die. Stuff happens. But it's all like the mood and the images and the music, because they create the music for all their movies as well. So, yeah, if you're into their movies, it's pretty good. And, yeah, if you're into sort of the mood and style of a film and don't care about a really involved plot and just want to go along with it, yeah, it's another winning film from them. I don't like it as much as Hellbender, but I don't know, Hellbender's sort of special. Yeah, that's the standout one for me so far. But yeah, this was probably second best of the 3 that I have seen so far.
I just really dig that there's a filmmaking family. I think that is so goddamn cool. Well, we after our amazing double feature of Stay Alive and The Cat from Outer Space, we of course, Kylie and myself, we had planned on going to a preview screening of Kingdom of the Planet of the Apes, and same reason why you couldn't go to the official premiere, because none of you people had seen the original trilogy. So I said to Kylie, okay, do you think we can get the trilogy done over the course of a weekend? She's like, hells yes, we can. So we thought, all right, let's see how we go. So we got the first one out of the way. And despite her tiredness, pretty much immediately after the credits had rolled, she was like, okay, put in number 2 right now. I was like, wow, okay. Yeah, she and myself, we did get through the trilogy and rated them all 5 stars again. Like, these films, my goodness, you
I'll
really got to
get
get onto
there
them as soon as you
eventually.
can. Yeah. The first one, when it came out in 2011, because we'd all been a little bit, like, I didn't mind the Tim Burton one. I thought it was fine. But it did put a lot of people off. Like, I know Kylie was one of the people who, because that film was, kind of mediocre, she was like, well, do we need another Apes film? I remember going to see that film and just walking out thinking, God damn, that was something special. Aside from the story, which was like, not only did you have this thing about, the sort of apes becoming smarter and stuff, but it's also a worldwide, killer virus movie, which I'm a huge
I'm not
fan of
so much
virus
anymore.
movies. It's yeah, fair call. And yeah, no, this film, and I remember as well, like, at the time, the CG was just like nothing we'd ever seen before, where Andy Serkis played the main monkey, Caesar. And, we all sat there just like, oh my God, it's never going to get better than this. And then, of course, in 2014, Dawn of the Planet of the Apes came out, and we were just like, oh my God, CG did get better. But aside from that, that film, like, all of these films just have so much emotion. There were so many times when Kylie and I both had tears streaming down our faces. They're way deeper than they really should have been, for sci-fi action films about monkeys taking over. Because they do have a lot of themes and stuff, which I'm sure a lot of people appreciate. Hi, Michael. So yeah, things like there's commentary about racism, there's commentary about technology, there's commentary about medical things. Like, there's so much going on in these films, and then War for the Planet of the Apes came out in 2017, and like, it concluded the trilogy, and I always kind of thought, okay, that's it, like. And so when this new one came out 7 years later, we watched the trailers, and we were kind of like, okay, like, looks all right, like, I mean, it's set like 300 years later from the third film in the trilogy, and so Caesar's not in it. And we kind of thought, how are they going to do? Because Caesar carried these films. He was such an extraordinary character, and you sort of think, like, if it sort of puts you off the fact that these films, the humans are kind of sidelined for monkey characters. Like, no, these monkeys are like so deep and rich with character and everything. But we sort of looked at the trailers and thought, okay, like, they're very action centric, there's we didn't really know how deep the story was going to go or whatever. Yeah, no, they did it again. Yep, 5 stars from me, 4.5 from Kylie. And thank you to you did give us permission to do a review episode of
cool.
that, so
Kylie ought to
that
be
is
our
on
first
here
guest.
if you want to hear Kylie. And she did, and my God, she did so well. I really thought that, it was going to be me doing 95% of the talking and her just kind of chiming in with a,
Well, I will
yeah,
give it a
every
listen
now and
after
then,
I
but
watch the
no.
movies.
Well, we actually tailored this one. We did most of it
Yeah,
as non-spoiler
but
talk, and
when
then we
I
got a
haven't
sealed
seen
section
any
at the
Planet
end.
of
So
the Apes film ever.
now, here's the thing, and this is something I forgot to mention in the review. you could go into this film not having seen any of the previous trilogy. Obviously, it's going to be a better experience, but
Yeah. Do you know me?
this one was kind of designed in a way. No, who are you again? No, look, I would recommend, obviously, I would recommend watching the three first, but, if you did want to go out and see this one, like, you could, it's designed that way, which is commendable. But yeah, what we saw in the trailer was like 20-25% of the film. Like it did not tell you everything
Well, I guess
there is in the
that's how
story.
they do
like,
trailers these
so
days. So
much
they're
more
like,
to
oh,
it.
put in action, get people excited, and just who cares about the rest?
Yeah, yeah. There really wasn't that much action in the film. It was more about this really deep take on evolution and the dawn of religion, and because Caesar's teachings from 300 years ago, they're kind of taking now as kind of like he was Jesus. The monkeys kind of have the word of Caesar, to go by as kind of a religion. And the main villain in the film, who was mind-blowingly brilliant, he sort of twisted the words to suit his own agenda and stuff like that. It was like this really, really deep film. Actually, funnily enough, the main villain in the film, Proximus Caesar, was played by Kevin Durand, who was in Abigail. And we've been talking recently about how this guy like, if they ever do an Elon Musk biopic, I mean, his face is identical. Like, he is Elon's twin brother. That being said, having actually seen the guy properly in Abigail, it's like, he's a freaking tank. He's so goddamn big, and I'm sort of looking at him like, yeah, no, I don't think he really could. And of course, he's got like a heavy accent and everything as well, so it's like, yeah, I don't actually think he could be Elon after all. But no, he was extraordinary in the role of Proximus Caesar. Like, everybody in this film, there was so many standout characters. There was just, oh man, it is easily my number one 2024 film so far, without question. So,
well, it's pretty cool that you
really
had that
we
to help make
that,
up for your bad Abigail experience.
Yeah, that is true. That is true. Yeah, that and the fact that the manager gave us 2 free tickets today. So there's a lot of things that came like from that situation that made it better. So yeah, but yeah. So that's my number one film.
Well, I'm done. Apart from our last section.
Right. Well, there's one more film that we've both seen though. That we can't.
Yeah, we can't talk about it because, like everybody is saying, it's best to go in knowing pretty much nothing about it. And I would say don't even look on Letterboxd reviews and things because, well, it depends how much you care. There's not like full-on spoilers there, at least that I saw, but people were mentioning things in it that still is kind of cool to not know about before you watch it.
Yeah, I knew nothing. All I knew was that it was a horror film.
What's pretty cool is I heard on the podcast that the director begged Tubi not to reveal anything about it, and Tubi agreed. And I noticed even on Letterboxd, if you read the synopsis, it doesn't really tell you anything. So it's pretty cool that they actually got that everywhere so that you can't find out about it unless you're here. We're talking about Lowlights.
And what film are we talking about? Yes, we are. From this year. So I would just say film
go in knowing nothing about it, but only if you're the person who can handle gory horror movies, because otherwise you will hate it.
Shall we read the Letterboxd synopsis? The survival instincts of a road-tripping family are put to the test when they have no other choice but to stay the night at a remote homestead. The end. And, yep, that is pretty much all you need to know. But you sung praises of this film. I've seen it twice now because, I watched it one night. I'm laying in bed next to Kylie. I got headphones on. She's asleep. I'm trying not to laugh and gasp and because it's funny. Like, there are a lot of really funny moments. There was one line in particular. Uh, yeah, that's all. No, no, don't say anything. Which, yes, because the less said about this film, the better, of course. But yeah, other
Yeah,
than it's
I have
brilliant.
things to say about it, which I can't because you have to have seen the film to get it. But I really loved some things about this, and there were a couple of things that, well, this movie made me angry, but in like a, in the best way, because of because you're meant to, because of what was happening. But I feel like when I watch it again, I'm looking forward to watching it again, because when I know what's happening, maybe I will think differently about what's going
Yep,
on.
yep, yep.
I did not like the ending, and I wonder if maybe if I know everything, maybe I will be more on board with the ending.
Yeah, see,
So
I did like the
yeah,
ending, but yeah,
I,
because I watched it again a few days later because I was like, oh my god, Kylie, you've got to watch this movie. Which she wasn't as enthusiastic about it as we were. She went with
well,
3 stars on it.
you loved it a lot more
Oh yeah,
than
no, I thought it was so
anyone
brilliant.
else
Oh
that's
wow,
watched
okay.
it. Well, I mean, as far as like in our group.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. But look, yeah, the film hasn't really had a wide release around the world yet. Like, we were very lucky to be able to see it because we're like two of the most rad podcasters in the world. But yeah, one day when this film gets a wider release and more people have seen it, I think we'll maybe do a bonus episode or something on it because yeah, there's lots of things that I want to talk about low lifes, but can't do it. God damn
Yeah.
it! Yeah.
But there's one thing I can talk about.
Oh yeah.
Because
Right. Yes. Of course.
I don't know if it's because I'm in my stress week or what was going on. I actually watched the beginning of the film again to see, and I'm like, I get it, but I still don't know why it happened. But there's a guy in the film that just, as soon as he turned up, I'm like, oh, who's this? And
I thought it was Kyle Gallner.
yeah, it does not look like
He does. He
Kyle.
looks exactly like him.
I,
Even watching the film a second time, I was like, okay, now that has got to be Kyle Gallner. Oh no, it's still not him. Crazy. Yeah.
I don't see that at all.
Yeah, fair enough. Although I did see what you said about the young Bam Margera. Watching it again, I was like, oh, yeah, okay. Like, I sort of see that before, like, meth addiction and stuff. Yeah. But anyway, please, continue.
Um, yeah. So as soon as the movie finished, I'm like, okay, who's this guy? And so I looked him up. His name's Richard Harmon, and when I was looking at his filmography, he recently did a movie on Netflix called Margot, which is about a group of college kids who go stay at a smart house and the AI turns on them.
Whoa.
And I was like, Netflix horror. It has the reviews you expect from a Netflix horror film. And so I was like, okay, I'm doing a double feature tonight. I'm going to watch this horror film. And it's I don't know how to describe it. I was going to say it's really bad, but it's really fun. But I'm like, it's not really bad. It's just really silly.
Right.
But it is so much fun that you can't help but enjoy it,
Okay.
I think. And interestingly, he played like the stoner character in it, which was an interesting change from in Low Lives. And yeah, it was really fun. The AI Margot, she was really annoying.
Okay.
It's like the whole AI thing of I'm gonna troll the internet and pick up the lingo that the cool young kids are saying, and I'm gonna talk like that. So some of the things that she comes out with are just really, but yeah. So yeah, I recommend that if you want a fun horror movie.
Yeah, no,
And
it does sound good.
Yeah, they. It was really cool. One really cool thing that I did like, because I would never go stay in a smart house. Like, I don't even have Alexa or whatever in my house, because I'm like, no, if I want to turn a light on or off, I'll just turn it on or off myself.
Cave
But
woman.
when they go stay there, the rooms are blank. The AI finds out all about them from their online profiles and things, and then just like decorates the room
Oh, wow.
to fit their personality and
Yeah,
stuff.
yeah.
So yeah,
Whereas I, on the other hand, of course, like, have all sorts of
life.
things rigged up in my house. But hey, Google, are you Skynet?
Are you joking? Skynet couldn't get through preliminary interviews for the Google Assistant gig. It failed it. Don't be evil.
See, there you go. Some smart homes aren't all that bad. But yeah,
Okay.
I'm a big fan of smart, like, technology and connectivity and things. So yeah, I think I would probably enjoy that film.
yeah. I recommend you watch it.
Okay, I'll go do that
then
right
I
now.
watched...
You take over the podcast. I'll go watch a movie.
Yeah, well, I'm gonna keep talking about Richard Harmon. So
Of course you are.
you've probably got time to watch.
Wow.
No, but then I watched another horror movie called The Return, which was interesting enough to keep watching, but nothing really happened. So, don't recommend that one.
Right.
But then I decided to take a break from his horror stuff because he's in a movie which has actually been on my radar for a couple of years because it's a terrible natural disaster movie
Here we
and
go.
called Icetastrophe, except they renamed it to Christmas Itastrophe.
Right.
And
what's that one about?
Icetastrophe, sorry.
Let me guess. The world's freezing over, and the group of survivors have to try and find a way to reverse the cycle and stuff.
Well, what
I don't
happens
know.
is they're just set in this town, and a meteor comes.
Ah, of course.
It breaks into two when it hits the atmosphere, and one piece lands in the middle of town, and yes, all the freezing comes, and it sends like these big ice crystals shoot out, and bits go flying and kill people.
So
And
scientifically
they have to
accurate.
work out. Yeah, oh yeah,
Yeah.
of course.
Wow.
And our main characters manage to survive. The like it's like people are being chased by this like ice coming, freezing roads and trees. But they go into a boat and go out on the boat, and the ice is coming over the water and freezing the water. And they get out of the boat, and then this is like the main guy who's just like a dad in the town, and the lady who's a grad student that's been following the meteor, so she came to town when she realized it had landed. So they get out of the boat, and then they're running, and then suddenly they're like up on the top of this hill looking back in the distance down to the lake that they just were in the boat. And I'm like, how did they get up? Anyway,
Wow.
so it has things like that, and then so they're trying to evacuate people from the town to this other place, and just all these ice. There's some really cool things about like the way people die, and because crystals like the long shape.
Absolutely.
It's like that, like these long bits come poke. So sometimes they come shooting up out of the ground, and if there's like a car on top, it just like destroys the car and all the people in it. And people get frozen, and then they like get cracks and fall to pieces. And so
no.
you've got this fun like CGI pieces on the ground and stuff. So I laughed so much. It was really fun just for how it's really funny. Richard Harmon's like the kid of the main guy, and he's a good actor, so he is doing his thing. Some people are not good actors.
Oh, that's a surprise.
And it's just really, it's like, cheesy kind of movie.
Yeah.
With this natural disaster stuff that's paying no attention to science. And so, it's just following that. And people like, all this ice is coming towards you and there's shards flying, but the sky is holding a flare. And the heat of the flare is enough to keep him from freezing when all this iciness is coming towards him.
Yeah.
And, people have lanterns, and that's enough heat around them to melt the ice, and so that's how people manage to survive.
Oh wow! I'm just looking at the director's filmography, and there's a lot of things here that look sort of borderline soft porn kind of action films. They all look like the sort of things that, you know, you would find in a $2 bin at a discount store.
Yeah. Well, I will say though, this is one of the most fun times I've had with a movie like that. So if it sounds like fun to you, if you're into those kind of movies,
Yeah.
that are just hilariously bad, then I recommend checking that
It
out.
actually does very much sound like my kind of film.
Yeah,
So, yeah.
I think you would enjoy it.
Yeah. All right. Well, I might just have to give old
Yes.
Ice Catastrophe a go at some point. Oh, good
And
God.
I looked further into Richard Harmon. His big break thing is he was in the TV show The 100, which I've heard about. I haven't watched. I am now watching. And so that's pretty fun. It goes for 7 seasons, and he's in nearly every episode. So I've got a lot of time to go. And he's also in a Netflix show called Fakes, which is really fun. It's about 2 teenage girls in high school who start making fake IDs. And it's such a cool show because it starts off in the perspective of one of the girls describing stuff. It's one of those shows where they'll just sometimes break and talk to camera while
Right.
things are happening. So she just makes comments. And then you get to the end of the first episode and the other girl suddenly looks to camera and is like, that's not what happened. And then the second episode is the same stuff, but from her perspective. And then the show goes from there, swapping perspectives. It doesn't completely repeat everything, but it just shows some things. And there'll be slight differences because of their perceptions.
Okay.
And Richard Harmon's like a drug dealer guy that they hook up with to help you to sell the IDs to people.
Right.
And so it was really fun because he plays, when you meet him, he's like a fun weirdo kind of guy, the way he talks and that. And then when you see that scene from the other girl's perspective, he's just got a bit of sinister edge to him.
Oh, okay, right.
So it's really fun just seeing the slight differences. And yeah, he gets some good stuff to do later in the show. But I just finished it last night. It's only 10 episodes. There's only one season. Came out in 2022 and there's no info about any second season. And it finished on a cliffhanger and I want to know what happens.
Well,
And I don't know if we will know what I can make something up because of
fakes fan fiction.
like when it starts in the first episode, one of the girls is in jail. So you're like, okay, whatever happened, she ends up in jail. So, but you don't know. I don't know if, you know, it kind of comes from where it ended or if there's a whole lot more that happened in between. And so I don't know if there's a season 2. But yeah, that was a really fun show. So I recommend that as well.
All right.
That's it.
Cool.
For now. I will have more next time.
We also, over the last couple of weeks, aside from the films that we've been watching, there was something that I would love to talk about. And of course, James Gunn released the first image of David Corenswet as Superman in the new costume. Did you see that one?
I did, because it was everywhere.
It was everywhere, including some of the greatest memes I have ever seen. Did you see a lot of the meme pictures?
I haven't seen any of them.
Oh my God, there have been so many. Like I saw one where someone photoshopped a pair of woman's legs with suspenders, like stockings and stuff, you know, with him pulling on, like, you know, heels or something. There's one where he's on the end of Wonder Woman's bed or something, you know, getting dressed. Like just a very innocent one of him, you know, in a shoe store, you know, sitting on one of the little stools in the middle, like trying on shoes. Like there have been so many great memes, but apart from that, like, what are your thoughts on how it looked?
Well, I should say, I'm not a Superman fan.
No, you absolutely hate him. You hate him with a passion.
I don't really care.
Yeah.
But I mean, it's got the red undies back.
He does.
That's kind of cool.
I know. A lot
that's
of
interesting.
people missed that detail, but you know, it's definitely there.
Yeah. I don't know. I mean, he looks like Superman because that's how Superman always looks. I don't know. It's cool hair.
It's not really. There's.
Well, no. I mean, like his physique, face, whatever.
Oh, right,
Just,
yeah.
it's always someone that looks like that.
Well, yeah, but I mean, that's what he looks like. But no,
no, that's what I mean.
I liked how there was, the costume's interesting to me because it's not completely skin tight, which I thought was really interesting. And yeah, I like the collar on it. I thought the collar looked pretty cool. Like, at least
I was just looking at it going, oh, the collar's a bit weird.
Well, no, but it's the kind of thing that, it is such an iconic costume that has been done so many different ways, but it's like, where do you go from there? It's the same with the Batman costume, like, how do you do it up and stuff? But yeah, no, I thought it looked pretty cool. I know a lot of people are complaining, but that's just what people do on the internet. So yeah.
No one, you're never gonna have everyone be really happy with something like this coming out.
No, but it's definitely it's piqued your interest in another DC character, hasn't it?
Yeah, I just saw today that apparently they're going to start filming the Booster Gold series in July.
Yeah, that's so cool.
Which means they should soon be announcing who is playing Booster Gold.
A lot of speculation at the moment.
Is Chris Pratt. Because apparently he said something recently about being in the DCU. And so everyone thinks that he might be talking about this. I don't want him to be Booster Gold, but he's a better choice than it could be. So I wouldn't hate it if he was, but I hope that he's not. I am in the camp of Glenn Powell because I feel like he has that personality that would be really suited to Booster Gold.
Yeah. And right now there's a whole bunch of people listening to this who are like, Booster what? Google it, people. He's a really, really great character. There's been some terrific stories with him and Harley Quinn in the comics. So, I think he's great. But yeah, he's not your absolute favorite comic book character, is he? But he's up there, right?
I wouldn't even know who my favorite comic book character is.
Just not Superman.
Definitely not Superman.
No.
Possibly Poison Ivy, but I don't know. I don't read a lot of comics.
That is true.
I mean, otherwise Jughead.
Wow. Yeah. The DCEU. Oh, no, it's not the DCEU anymore. Whatever they're calling it now. Welcomes Jughead into the Justice League. Cool. Well,
he does have like his, I know he's like a detective or something, not a superhero, but
yeah. But anyway,
could work.
Yeah. Now, carrying on from the last episode, because we had so much fun asking each other both fuck, marry, kill questions and that incredible scenario you came up with as far as who you would have at your poker table. I think we should keep this tradition alive. So I've come up with some FMKs for you, and I'm going to start this time.
Okay.
So, you know how last time I went with a theme, like the first 3 were famous Pauls and the second 3 were famous Emmas? I've got another theme going this time round.
And I'm scared because you told me earlier and you couldn't stop laughing then either.
I know.
I'm just like, what is this going to be?
This is going to be so great. And it ties into the conversation we've just been having as well, which is amazing. So, my first one, as far as fuck, marry, kill, famous fictional aliens. So, you've got a list of E.T., Superman, and Yoda. So out of those 3, who would you fuck, who would you marry, and who would you kill?
Well, I'm fucking Superman because he's a human.
You've just gone from how you don't care about Superman to now you want to have sex with him. My God.
Well, compared to Yoda or E.T.
I knew this was going to be a hilarious scenario. All right, so who Who are you going to marry and who are you going to kill?
Who's going to be the least annoying to listen to?
Exactly. I am so proud of myself right now. This is crazy.
I haven't even seen E.T. since I was a kid, so I don't even remember a great deal of how he is.
Mm-hmm. Well, remember he does have the magic finger that can heal things instantly. Like he's got the big glowing penis-shaped finger that. Well, actually, hang on. No, never mind. And so if you've got an ouch, he will heal it. So you know. So there's that's a benefit.
No, I'm gonna marry Yoda.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, he knows some cool people, I think. I haven't seen all the Star Wars movies, but you know, I could meet some cool people through him at dinner parties.
That's true.
And so I'll kill E.T.
Oh wow! So you've heard it right here, everybody. Frankie's going to have sex with Superman while killing off a beloved children's character. Wow, man, you are dark. Yeah. Mm-hmm. All right. Fair enough.
Well, I was going to give you a good one, and I'm not going to. I stole your theme last time, and I wrote down some names beforehand. So I've got the name thing happening this time.
Right.
So I will give you Jennifer Aniston.
Ugh.
Sure.
Kill. I'm sorry.
Wow, so rude.
I'm not a fan of hers or her looks, but anyway.
Okay. Jennifer Lawrence and Jennifer Connelly.
Oh, okay. I'll probably look. I'll fuck Jennifer Connelly only because she's probably the only attractive one out of the three. Oh God, do I have to marry Jennifer Lawrence? Oh no, I don't. Oh.
See, I didn't think that you were into Jennifer Lawrence, but the Jennifer Aniston thing I didn't know, so I'm glad this makes it still difficult.
Oh, does it ever? Wow. This is the first time these three women are going to make it hard for me, if you know what I mean. Boom, boom, there we go. We got a great line. No, I don't know. I care about both other Jennifers as much as the other, which is extremely minimal. Look, I'll probably marry Aniston only because she probably looks like the sort of person who'd be a little bit more tolerable than Lawrence. Plus, she's been in Office Space and Leprechaun. Like she's been in some pretty cool films. So yeah, sorry, R.I.P. Jennifer Lawrence. Yeah, you got to go, but yeah, hey Connolly, hey, how you doing? All right, well, I'm kind of going.
You're making a face again.
Yes, I got three more choices for you, and this time we're going with famous movie robots.
Oh my God.
So, out of your choices, you've got the Terminator, as in the classic Schwarzenegger version, RoboCop, or Ash from Alien, played by Ian Holm.
I haven't seen RoboCop or...
Now, I know technically he's sort of half human, but he's mostly robot, so I figured he'd...
Yeah, well, I don't... If I've seen RoboCop, I don't remember it. It's one of those, I'm not sure if I've seen it, so I have no idea on what he is like.
Okay.
So...
I also didn't want to go full robot, like C-3PO and R2-D2 would just be really weird, like... So I sort of went with more human kind of robots.
Okay, this is a bit hard because I don't...
That's what she said.
I don't really know anything about RoboCop.
Okay.
So, with that disclaimer, I'm going to fuck the Terminator because he's the hottest. and I'm gonna marry RoboCop and hope that works out okay because Ash has to die.
Yeah, well, yeah, obviously. No, you did good because in RoboCop he was actually kind of a caring family man and a good husband and all that all sort of thing. So yeah, no, I think you chose wisely there.
Nice.
Yeah, yeah, you did better than what you did with the aliens. That's for sure. Yeah.
Okay, well, I'm going to give you. There's all this talk of who the best Chris is in Hollywood.
Okay.
So I'm going to give you 3 of them.
Right. Oh wow.
So,
okay, I've got to get my get into gay mode now.
Yeah. Chris Hemsworth.
Right.
Chris Evans. Chris Pine.
Oh wow. Okay. Oh man. Oh geez, this is a good question. Okay. I guess if I was gay, I'd probably go for Hemsworth as far as the fucking, because I mean, look at the guy, I'm probably gonna marry Chris Evans because he seems like he's got a pretty good sense of humor. I don't know enough about Chris Pine, like his personality and stuff. Yeah, I mean, he seems like a cool guy, but unfortunately, he's now 6 feet under because
Wow.
yeah.
Chris Pine is a super fun weirdo.
Yeah. Yeah, but see, I don't know enough about him to gather that. So
I know, but I'm just saying because you were saying about Chris Evans being funny. I'm like, from what I've seen, Chris Pine is funny and a weirdo.
right.
Which is the best of both.
Can I trade Evans for Pratt?
You want to?
Hey, no, it's fine. No, those were the choices you gave me. So
I thought I was giving you the top 3 Chris's.
yeah. Well, yeah. No, I'm pretty sure you. Well, I don't know. Isn't Pratt more popular than Pine?
Well, he has more people that hate him than Pine. I don't know about the other way.
Yeah, that's a good point. Yeah, look, I'm sticking with my choices there. There, that's what's happening. All right.
Okay.
Cool. Yeah. Wow. But you, I mean, as much as I appreciate that question, you did come up with an even better one.
I don't know how I keep doing this.
I know. I mean, when you think that the poker scenario from the last one was going to be unbeatable, you've now come up with.
I watched Event Horizon, so that obviously inspired my question.
I could tell. Yeah,
there was a reason that it came to my brain.
Yeah, and now we've spent the entire day coming up with our answers to this. So, would you like to go ahead and explain your big question for this episode?
Okay, so the question is, if we were going to be in a crew, but now we're the owners of a spaceship, and we are it's a movie, and we are casting people to be the crew of the ships in the movie.
Yep.
So we had to pick a captain, a pilot, a navigator, the muscle, a scientist, mechanic, medic, and chef.
Yeah.
Because this is the movies, so they can eat real normal food while they're in space.
But we also have...
It's in the future, they worked out how to do it.
We also have a robot crew member as well, because you can't have a sci-fi film without a robot.
Sorry, I forgot to add that to my list.
Oh, okay. Whoopsie daisies.
I have the voice actor. Good. I just forgot to write it down.
But not only that, we've come up with some basic scenarios for the plot for our stories, but we've also picked who we want to do the theme tune / soundtrack for our films. So yeah, this is a big one. This is really, really big. So kicking it off, okay, so you've just bought your shiny new Star Cruiser, like, oh my god, most incredible ship you've ever seen. What are you naming it?
Well, this fits into my plot overview, so I'm going to start with that. My space movie is more like a sort of crime thriller style where the crew are on a mission to retrieve something valuable, but they have to watch out for all the bad guys who are after it. So it's kind of like a pirate film in space.
Nice.
And because of that, my ship is called Fairbanks after Douglas Fairbanks, known for his adventure movies, including The Black Pirate, which I just watched last night.
Excellent. I love it. All right. So my ship. So look, I've hired this crew. Like I've put them together for. They're kind of like space contractors. Like they will take on any job. You know, they're like because there's obviously you've got smugglers, you've got transport, you've got search and rescue. These guys do it all. I figured, why settle on one thing when so they're just kind of a crew for hire. For any sort of a mission. The only thing is, what they didn't realize is that at one point when they were transporting some cargo from one place to the other, they didn't realize that it was highly illegal contraband, and so they've become wanted by the authorities. And so now in this film they've wound up on this quest unwillingly to find safe harbor, but in the meantime they've been falling in with criminal types, but learning not just about themselves, but about, stereotyping people and realizing the judging people, the book by the cover sort of a thing, that some criminals aren't bad people. They're just misguided or, the sort of gray area type people. So, by the end of it, it becomes this big thing where everyone learns about themselves. But I have named my ship the Effugium. And the reason I've named it that is because it is the Latin word for escape. Because I've always looked at things like the Millennium Falcon, the Serenity, all those sort of ships where people live on them or whatever, as like, just how cool would it be just to blast off, get away from everything, just to literally escape from, the life that we know. And so yeah, my ship is called the Effugium. And yeah, they're on the run. So who's your captain?
Oh.
Yeah.
That is not how I was expecting to start my story.
Oh.
Of my characters. Oh. Captain's last, because they run things.
Oh, okay. So where are we starting from?
I've done mine. I'm starting with the medic because they're the least interesting character.
All right, you go first and I will counter with mine. So
I kind of have bios or background or things that are going to pop up in the movie for my characters. But the medic, I just could not think of anything, and I don't care, and they're just there, so they don't.
Wow.
So I just picked someone that I like to cast in the role, just because. Yeah. So my medic is Zoe Kravitz.
Oh, okay, fair enough. Yep, no, that's a good choice. Also, we should outline that we have chosen actors who are not known for roles set in space as a ship's crew and that sort of thing. That
helped me knock a couple of people off the list because I'm like, oh, they were in Star Wars.
So yeah, I'm not just...
They were in this film, I'm
not just putting Nathan Fillion in, the captain role or anything like that. So, yeah. All right, cool. Well, for my medic, I came up with Jeremy Irons because he's the sort of guy that, plays things fairly seriously, and I think a medic, would probably be that kind of a character, but he sort of does have that compassionate sort of streak to his personality, I think, especially when you look at him in things like in the role of Alfred in the DC EU or whatever, he did have that kind of personality. And yeah, I just kind of saw Jeremy Irons in the role as my ship's medic. So, yeah, he's been cast and he's so happy.
I should say, too, in my film, there's sort of like the family thing happening on the crew. Most of them, they've been doing jobs and working together for a while. There's one person who's pretty new, who I'll get to, but generally... That's the thing.
Right. All right. Who you got next?
Next, I have we we allowed, because Dan wanted extra muscle, so we allowed that for one category we could have 2 people. I have 2 people for my mechanics. And this is why I will never be a casting director. So my first mechanic, to no surprise from the last 10 minutes or so, is Richard Harmon.
Yeah, okay.
Because he would just look hot as a mechanic with the coveralls, the bandana, because he's got long hair, the smudges on the face that every person with that kind of job has to have in a movie because no one can ever avoid it.
Yeah.
So, and the other mechanic...
Please tell me it's Kyle Gallner. As twin brothers who've got a job as mechanics.
No, he has a sister.
Right, fair enough.
And she helps, but also is the main person to go outside, and when the outside of the ship needs repairs, that's her specialty. And she is played by Micah Munro.
Oh, okay, very good. All right, a couple of kind of sort of indie movie people you got going on there. I only have the one mechanic, and my mechanic is going to be played... I don't know why I came up with this person, but I just thought of Emilia Clarke in the role. I just sort of... I don't know. I saw a picture of her somewhere when I was looking up actors and actresses and stuff, and I just thought, okay, the British accent is pretty cool. Obviously she's drop dead gorgeous, but seeing we've seen her as Sarah Connor and some of the later Terminator stuff, and she was so good in Game of Thrones. She sort of seems like that kind of person who can do action kind of stuff, but isn't your typical action looking person. So that's kind of what made me think, well, yeah, in that case, maybe she would be, tucked away in the engine room with spanners and stuff, and occasionally spouting British one-liners. So, that's my mechanic, Emilia Clarke.
Next, I have my chef. And he used to be the muscle.
Oh, okay, right.
But he got a bit older, got a bit tired of it, got interested in cooking, so decided to do that. Stays with the crew because he's got a long history with the captain.
Yep.
So, they didn't want to lose him. And he is played by Ethan Hawke.
Oh, okay, right. Oh, man, that's a good choice. Yeah, I could really sort of see him in that kind of a role. Yeah. Okay, yeah, I like that.
I had him as a different role initially. I thought, oh, maybe, and then I thought of that, so he's the chef.
Excellent. For my chef, I have picked somebody who I actually went looking at comedic actresses because I thought my chef is going to have a sense of humor, and I've picked Kristen Wiig because I just think she would have such a like a motherly, maternal kind of a thing where she would be so focused on making sure everyone's bellies are full, making sure that everyone eats every last bit, and being funny about it. So yeah, I had to pick her as my cook. I think that is one of the best casting choices out of my whole lot. So yeah.
Next, my scientist.
Right.
She's the new one on the on this mission, but she kind of knows the crew from beforehand, but obviously hasn't spent a lot of time as she now is on the mission. Right. So she kind of knows them, but not well. So she's getting to know them, and she is played by Emma Stone. And I don't know if it's red hair, poison ivy, plants, botanist, scientist, but yeah.
Yeah.
And she's really good at playing kind of nerdy roles.
Oh, yeah.
And she's also really funny. So I just,
Yeah, good choice.
She's my perfect scientist.
All right. Well, my perfect scientist. Now, this is an actor. Okay, get your fingers ready on the keyboard because this is the one I was saying. I've picked someone who you're going to, when you hear the name, you'll be like, I don't know who that is. But as soon as you type in, you go, oh, that guy. This is an actor who I love. He just has this incredible charisma, and he's been in so many movies, and his name is Will Patton. So yeah, if you don't know who that is, type it in, have a look, go, oh my god, that guy, and tell me he doesn't look like a scientist. I can seriously imagine him with like his receding hair, like all scruffy, like with his lab coat, whatever. Like, you know the guy, right?
Yeah. Kind of.
Yeah.
Oh, I think he does audiobooks. Is that how I know his name?
I don't know.
Does he do a lot of audiobooks?
I wouldn't have a clue, but he does have a very interesting voice and accent. He does
Stephen King audiobooks.
Oh, wow, okay. But yeah, no, that guy, like, oh god, he's been in so many films. Yeah, and I'm talking massive, huge films, you know, that he's always kind of like this little minor character, and yeah, but no, he's my scientist. Yeah, I would love to see him in that role.
Next, I have my muscle.
All right, who you got?
Well, we talked about him earlier. My muscle is Glenn Powell.
Ah, very good. All right.
Because I don't want to like typecast him too much, but he's really good at playing these guys who are like, you know, he's arrogant. He's like, thinks he's the ladies' man and everyone loves him. But even though he's kind of annoying at times, he's really good at what he does and he cares about everyone. So, you know, he's gonna like do all he can to help if there's ever any issues that need him.
Yep.
So yeah.
All right. Okay. Yeah. No, that's a good choice. Okay. So this is the one where I've got two people. Because you know, obviously, with my ship being chased by the authorities and everything, they're going to need all the protection they can get. So the first person that came to mind was Dwayne "The Rock" Johnson. Because yeah, I was trying to think of, you know, Hollywood heavyweights, and I was like, okay, I don't recall him ever playing a role in a spaceship on a ship's crew kind of thing. So yeah, but then later on I was thinking to myself, how awesome would it be if you paired a Sherman tank with a Ferrari? And so I've kind of got him as the big heavyweight. And then I would love to see the Asian actress Zhang Zi. Do you know who she is? She was...
Not by name.
Crouching Tiger, Hidden Dragon, one of the Rush Hour films, ZHANG ZIYI. And she's really cool in action roles and just looks amazing doing it and stuff. And I just suddenly thought, how cool would it be to have this mismatched pair? Like, you know, this big, tall, like, Pacific Islander guy and this sort of, you know, I don't know how tall she is. I don't think she's that tall, but, you know, like this...
You just made me realise someone I could have said.
Oh, no. Who's that?
Jason Momoa.
Oh, yeah. Actually, yeah.
But I went the non-traditional. I avoided the big muscly guy because...
I think
I prefer non-muscly
I think
guys.
that's why I picked her as well, because I kind of thought,
two different skill sets.
Yeah, exactly. You know, he is all fists and everything, whereas she is acrobatics and swords and things. So, I think with those two, my ship is really well protected. Yeah.
Cool. Okay, next I have my pilot. And so everyone, apart from Ethan Hawke, is in their 30s or like 30 to 35. So, and Emma Stone and Glenn Powell are both 35.
Is that right? Wow.
And so is Zoe Kravitz.
Oh, my goodness.
I have all the 35-year-olds. So that was interesting. I looked that up afterwards and went, wow.
Yeah.
So my pilot is only 27. Well, the actress is 27. But she is so good at what she does that she worked her way up to you know, be a pilot and lead this ship. And she's she's, you know, had to be tough to get through, but she's not a jerk, and everyone likes her, and the captain thinks she's great. And she is played by Amber Midthunder.
Oh, wow, that's a great choice.
Because Prey and Ice Road, I'm like, yeah,
Yeah.
she's the personality that I want
Yeah,
in
yeah. I've
this.
only seen her in Prey, but I saw that a few times and like, oh my god, she was such a standout in that film. So, yeah, that's a solid choice. Um, I went the other direction with my pilot. I've got someone who has been around for quite a while now. This guy has flown a lot of things. He's got a lot of experience, which, to evade the authorities and everything, he's going to need it. So, my pilot is played by an actor named Michael Dudikoff. Because, look, I'm sure if you went through his diverse filmography in the $2 bins, you might be able to find a film somewhere where he was on a spaceship. But as you told me earlier, it's got to be people who aren't like typically stereotyped as space people.
It's not like you have to research every person to make sure they haven't. It's just like none of the obvious ones.
So my pilot is played by Michael Dudikoff.
Nice.
Oh yeah, has to be. And I'm talking current Michael Dudikoff, not 1985.
And we're not time traveling. It's not that kind of space
No, I like
thing.
a seasoned pilot, so yeah.
He still looks hot anyway for his age. So.
Yeah, hello. It's like saying, oh, water is still wet. Like, duh.
Hey, not everyone ages so well.
That is true. We're a rare breed, we are. Anyway, who you got next?
Okay, my navigator.
Yes.
Oh, no, wait, no. Let's do the robot first.
You already did earlier, remember? Hey!
I have no planning for my robot, so
Yeah.
I'll just let the writer and director and designer and whatever come up with what they want him to look like. But to flavor the personality and give you an idea, he will be voiced by Ron Livingston.
Oh, nice one. Yeah, okay. That's cool.
Because he's going to be that kind of robot that's just a little bit blunt and sassy.
Yep.
Doesn't really care.
All right, cool. My robot, and I don't. It could be a robot or just like a voice on the ship, like an AI kind of a thing. I don't know. But my robot is going to be played by Chris Rock, because I just think sure, Kristen Wiig is in there as the cook, but we need some proper comedic relief on this thing. So. Chris Rock and
Livingston's my comedic relief. And if we're going like ship AI, instead of robot, then I'm doing that, because Ron Livingston with his bluntness and sarcastic stuff when he's the ship and has to take commands and things. That's a good fit with my crew.
We went in a similar thing because, obviously Chris Rock would just be a complete smartass to everybody. So, okay, we've both got smartass robots. Well done.
That's the best kind.
Yeah, oh God, absolutely. All right, so who's your navigator?
Okay, navigator. This has come up before, but how could I not have Ryan Gosling with Emma Stone?
Brilliant.
So he's my navigator. He's is a little bit older than most of the rest of the crew, rather.
Yeah. What are they lining up to be on your ship? Are they?
And so he obviously is into Emma Stone, and when the movie starts, the early flirting stages, and so he's got a bit of a rivalry issue thing going on with Glenn Powell, because of course Glenn Powell's flirting with Emma Stone.
Right.
She's a pretty lady, and so there's that whole thing going on.
Right.
But obviously Ryan and Emma are destined. So
okay.
Yeah.
No, that's wow. Well, I mean, the fact that you managed to get Ryan and Emma back together again, I'm already paying to see your film. For my navigator, and I don't know why this person came to mind, but as soon as the name popped into my head, I was like, oh my God, what a great choice. I'm casting Aubrey Plaza.
Ah, nice. I did consider her for my crew.
Her deadpan sarcasm, and especially with Michael Dudikoff as the pilot, maybe they're father and daughter. Actually, let's throw that in there. I just think she would be so brilliant in this environment, in a character like that. Yeah, so no, I've cast her as my navigator. Yeah.
Cool. And captain.
Yes, here we go.
I am lucky enough that my favorite actor is a perfect fit.
Ooh.
So my captain is Michael Shannon because he's got the sort of aura of authority.
Oh, yeah.
He's good with intense stuff. He would keep us cool unless he had reason to go off. But,
Yeah.
depending on the situation, he's got that whole, overseeing the crew, but also knows how to just like chill out and have fun with them when they're, on the breaks and whatever. And so, just in the, like on the bridge, you've got him, you've got Ryan, you've got Amber. Like, I can see it.
Oh, yeah. No, that is a really, really good crew. I like that one. For my captain, I've also picked one of my most favorite actors, and my captain, and don't roll your eyes, don't groan, don't whatever, but I have chosen Margot Robbie as the captain of my ship because she is such an incredibly smart businesswoman. She is in control of a production company already that is doing phenomenally well. Like, she went from, a local Gold Coaster to a freaking Hollywood A-lister in barely any time at all. So, she's obviously good.
Wow, you're going very real world.
Yeah. Well, you said
casting an actor based on their real life.
Exactly, but that's the thing, though.
Yeah.
She
but
would be able to
just-
bring that experience into the role. So, and she's such a versatile actor. She can play freaking anything, and yeah, I would love to see her in a role like this as a captain of a ship on the run from
Love
authorities.
that we both picked our favorites, and they both are so good to be captains.
Yeah. So that's that's our crew and our mission and our ship and everything. When we put the Blu-ray in and we start, for all those youngsters out there, for when you hit play on the streaming service, whose theme tune are we going to be listening to?
Yeah, I forgot about this, so I don't really have one.
Wow, it's your question.
I was listening to Wolf Alice earlier, and so I'm going to pick them because my crew's pretty young, so it's got some sort of alternative music. I think they have a good mix of their sound. They have some kind of dreamy tracks to some more standard rock tracks. So I think they'd be able to come up with something good.
Excellent. Well, for this is not just the theme tune, but the entire score for the film is going to be done by these two who have collaborated for the first time. And it's, oh my God, this is a dream collaboration. So I've chosen my guitar teacher, Nita Strauss, along with John Five. Two of my absolute favorite guitarists, because oh my freaking God, can you imagine? I know you're probably not as familiar with their styles and everything as I am, but these two, such energetic music, and such technical wizardry with the guitars and everything, and I just think, I would love to hear a collaboration between the two. So I'm hiring the two of them to do the soundtrack for my film. So there you go. Yeah.
Cool.
Yeah. That was a really good question, and we've both come up with some quite diverse answers. So yeah. And
yeah, it was fun.
I think I did 50-50 with males and females and diversity. Although I noticed you didn't have any Asian people in yours, so what's wrong with you? Racist.
Well, actually, I was going to have Gong Yu, but he's been in a space thing. It was a TV series, but still, I'm like, well, he's done it,
that's fair enough then. All right, you're off the hook then, everybody. Don't worry, for everyone who's now sitting there writing a strongly worded 3-page email to us, to chastise Frankie for being racist against Asian people. It is not her fault. She tried, but Asians are jerks. So there you go. All right. Except for the one or two people in Japan who listen to us, of course. Totally not jerks. They are amazing people. So we love you. And there's my inappropriate statement for this episode. All right.
Have you noticed how long we've been talking?
I have noticed how long we've been talking, so I think it's probably time that we get stuck into the next part of this. So, speaking of spaceships and crews and things like that, let's get into Event Horizon. All right, so back in 1997, this little film came out called Event Horizon, which I didn't know too much about. And so, it's set in the not too distant future, actually, in 2047, where a group of astronauts are sent to investigate the return of a huge spaceship called the Event Horizon that disappeared at one point, and after 7 years has come back. So they venture out along with the guy who invented this gravity drive thing, which can basically fold space to send a vessel from one point to another instantaneously. And when they get on board, they discover that this ship has not been to anywhere that we really were prepared to go. Essentially, it's been to hell, and it's brought back something really fucking nasty with it. And so the crew are basically trapped in this ship with their worst fears coming to life because the ship is tormenting them. And oh god, this film, I love it so much. I love this film. I remember when it came out in 97. I was working in a cinema, and my girlfriend at the time, I remember we went and saw it, and I was that rattled that coming home, I remember getting out of the car, walking up the driveway. She was walking behind me, and I was just terrified that I was going to turn around and she was going to have no eyes. I vividly remember that moment. Like, I felt that rattled. That movie... I know this film gets quite a bashing from critics and moviegoers and stuff. I mean, it's, it was a box office flop. It didn't do very well and everything. But honestly, this is one of those few horror movies I cannot watch alone. This movie does it for me. This gets way under my skin. It rattles me to the core. It terrifies me. And yeah, what are your thoughts on it?
Well, it doesn't do that. But
brilliant.
You know what? I've seen this before, but I didn't remember all the details and stuff. So because it had been a while, but I remembered liking it. I actually gave it quite a low rating, which is one of those movies that I thought I liked it more than my rating, right. And then I watched it and went, why did I rate it that low? But yeah, I love the movie when you put it on and the music starts playing and you're like, oh yeah, this was made in the late 90s.
Yeah, because I think it's Orbital.
You can tell.
Orbital did the soundtrack, and so yeah, when you get that Paramount logo with the mountain, and then it starts going past the mountain and into the sky. I love when they do things with studio logos like that. Did you?
And I'd forgotten that Jason Isaacs was in it. Love him.
Oh yeah.
So that was fun. So
yeah. No, it's got a stacked cast. Lawrence Fishburne, Sam Neill, Jolie Richardson, Jack Noseworthy, Sean Pertwee, who I just absolutely love. That guy, I adored him in Dog Soldiers.
Such a great character.
Oh yeah, that's the thing. All of the characters I thought were so goddamn great. Like, they each had such a distinctive personality. But not only that, just with the limited information that we're given, that these people have worked together for so long. Like, the whole sort of mama bear, baby bear thing. And the fact that Sam Neill's character, Dr. Weir, is such an outsider. I like that they were kind of being very standoffish against him. It just sort of created a little bit of tension to start with, which I dug.
And Especially that thing where they're like, our leave got cancelled for this.
Yeah, exactly. And yeah, just oh god, I love all the little subtle things like when they're scanning the ship for life readings and the entire ship has a life reading, and it's like that's a bit weird. And you're like, oh my god, the entire ship is alive. Okay, I get it. But the thing for me with this film, from pretty much from start to finish, it just has this feeling of dread over it. This to me is a nasty, mean-spirited film. It reminds me of, things like the recent Evil Dead films, that are just like savage films, because when you get those glimpses of the hell dimension and you see all that stuff with barbed wire and just wire in general and impalement and maggots and things like, I have actually sat there and paused, like gone frame by frame through that imagery, and it is shocking. Like it is I mean, there's stuff in the film that's already bad, like one character that gets, sort of like hooked up on wires, that's all I'll say. And,
yeah.
There's some pretty disturbing stuff in there as it is, but I that film, just I think the tone is so perfect. And I know some of the criticisms from people say that they feel the tone's all over the place. I'm like, I don't get that. Like, I thought it was absolutely a perfect film in terms of getting the balance right.
I mean, it's kind of just how those kind of movies go too, that it's just like a crew doing a thing and then it gradually changes as stuff happens, because you can't really have the same tone the whole way through, because I mean that's not going to fit with the story.
Yeah, I get like the character of Cooper was there for comedy relief, and that's fine, but I thought his character was really cool. The line with hey, do you want something hot and black inside you, when he's offering her the coffee, I thought, that was, that's just who he is, I loved Lawrence Fishburne's portrayal of Miller, how he was just a very serious, stoic kind of, like, I mean, the dude had like 2 facial expressions throughout the entire film, but it worked. Normally I criticize people like Kristen Stewart or whatever for only having 1 facial expression, but in this case, it kind of worked for him. I thought it was good.
Well, some people can show a lot of emotion without doing a lot with their face.
Yeah, it was more through the words, like through the dialogue and stuff.
But even like movements and eyes and things.
Yeah. No, I thought he was terrific. The production design, like, I mean, I love the fact that the ship of the Event Horizon itself is a crucifix. I mean, that was really cool. I really paid attention last night more than ever to the lighting and sound design, because the lighting in this film is incredible. Like when we first see the gravity drive spinning, the lights come on, it was very lit from the top, lit from above, and like that just added so much atmosphere rather than lighting that whole set, so they really did a genius job with the lighting. I've got to say, because I'm pretty sure my friend Steve in Canada is going to be listening, and right now he's like, tell him the watch story. So there was one time I sat down with Steve to watch this film, and so the very opening shot where it's going through the corridors of the ship and everything, it goes to that main window where the corpse is spinning around and the face comes right at the camera, sort of with that scream. So when the movie started, I was like, oh my god, this opening scene just freaking, gets me so bad. And right after I said that, of all the objects floating through the corridor, you get this wristwatch that's just floating through the air, and he was like, so you're scared of wristwatches? And I'm like, no, like, keep watching. Like, that was many, many years ago. To this day, I still get ridiculed about my fear of wristwatches. So I had to throw that out there. So there you go, Steve. You're a jerk. What was some of your favorite scenes in the film? Like, what was some of the favorite moments or, things that scared you the most? Were you actually scared in the film?
No.
Really?
it's very rare for a film to scare
Yeah,
me.
yeah, okay.
That's why it's so exciting when there's even just like one little scene that unnerves me because it's so
Was
rare.
there anything in this film that came close then?
No, not really.
Wow.
I don't know. I mean, I don't. I just love horror. I just like
Yeah.
seeing all that stuff, but it doesn't unnerve me or scare me or
My
it. I just enjoy it.
most favorite moment in this film is when they've been trying to decipher the ship's log from the last crew, you know, like because it's all distorted, and they can't figure out because they just hear all this like screaming and shit. And then when the picture finally becomes clear, and what was Peters, played by Kathleen Quinlan, like she's standing there and suddenly looks and drops the cup of coffee and steps back, and you see what happened to the previous crew. That, oh my god, that bit gets me so fucking bad because that is just nasty. You know, you see all these people just like eating each other, and the captain removing his own eyeballs and holding them out to the camera, and like everyone just oh, that is disturbing as shit to me. So, yeah, there's actually the sad part about this film was that when Paul W.S. Anderson first made it, it was actually 40 minutes longer. Now, 40 minutes is a
Wow.
really long time. Apparently, there was a lot more stuff about the hell dimension and all this. And the studio made him cut it down, cut it down, cut it down to the point where, you know, we got the 95-minute version that we have now, which is still fine, but you know, ever since 97, you know, the fans have been like, oh my god, when are we going to see the full version? The footage has been destroyed. It is gone. That footage actually doesn't exist anymore, and it is such a shame because, my god, I would easily sit through, you know, like a 2.5 hour version of this film or however long.
Yeah, well, now that's normal length for movies, and they're all that
Oh
long.
yeah, yeah. No, it's such a shame. But no, oh man, there's all these stories I've heard. Like apparently, Sam Neill's final makeup, you know, with all the wire cuts and everything. Like apparently he had so much fun on set, like wearing that makeup and just going around terrifying, you know, various crew members and stuff. You know, he had such a blast making it. Yeah, I mean, look, there are a few things that I thought, you know, didn't add up. I guess like the second time Cooper, not your cat, gets blasted into, you know, when he's like at the window outside when Sam Neill's got the gun like spiky thing, and he, you know, sends him back out again, and then the next time you see Cooper he's in an airlock, and it's like, well, hang on a second, how did he get there? Like that doesn't make sense. But look, you know, it was never enough to stop this from being a 5-star movie for me the whole way. Like I have seen that film at least a dozen times, maybe more, and I'll continue to keep watching it till the day I die. Like it is one of my most favorite horror movies of all time, and yeah, I loves it. Do you reckon
Yeah, it's a good
oh
one.
yeah, yeah. Do you reckon it's one that you'll probably rewatch again, like down the track?
Oh, well, yeah, I've already watched it a few times,
Yeah,
so I definitely will keep going.
cool. No, I've still.
And there's no like terrible people in it, as in people that annoy you. Like, there's no annoying characters. Like, the crew are all like really cool people. And so, movies like that, you always want to come hang out with them
Yeah,
again.
yeah, yeah, exactly. So yeah, we'll probably talk about in the sealed section because I want to talk about some of the character deaths. So we'll get more into that later. But no, I've still even got from '97. I got the actual press kit that was sent around to theaters. You know, which is like a cardboard folder, you know, full of information and stuff. Plus a bunch of Event Horizon mini posters that we had given. Like, I mean, I've got like an entire roll of these things. I don't know if I got a full size poster, but no, I was obsessed with it from day one. Like, yeah, this movie just really, you know, there was actually one time when I was working in the cinemas and I was doing a cinema check one day during this film, and I, went in, did my thing, walked up the aisles, made sure everyone was behaving. And I was about to walk out, and I thought, oh, I'll just watch a bit of the film. And I thought, oh, okay, I don't think there's anything scary here. And it was the bit where Fishburne and Neil, they've just had like an argument in a corridor or whatever, and Neil walks away, and Fishburne walks up to a wall, and, he's just like trying to get his thoughts together, and he leans his head against the wall, and that's the first, I think, jump scare moment where you see flashes of the hell dimension. Now, you can imagine in a cinema with cinema sound, like that thing fucking screamed at me. I jumped so high, and it took me about 2 hours before my nerves, calmed down again. Like I was like, oh man, that was the worst time to watch a bit from the film. Because I just wasn't expecting it. I'd only seen the film once, and so I wasn't sure. But yeah, I'll never forget that moment. That was pretty funny. But yeah, so anyway, yeah, that's my thoughts. I'm going to shut up now because honestly, like I said, I could do an entire episode, a 3-hour episode on this film alone. So yes. Let's move on to the next one from our Without Consent, where you forced me to watch Night and Day. Tell us about Night and Day and what it means to you. Why did you make me watch Night and Day?
Well, like I said last time, we were talking about rom-com action movies because there's not a lot, I would say. I can't really think of many. And I like Tom Cruise. It's always a fun time to see him. And I just feel like him and Cameron Diaz really just go well together in this. And it's ridiculous, of course, but I don't know. I think it's got charm. Mm-hmm. So,
and what's the film about?
I enjoyed it. Oh, man. So...
Hey, you picked it.
Yeah, I know, but I'm really bad at describing things. So Cameron Diaz is June, who knows all about cars, and she's doing up her dad's car. So she was visiting somewhere to get a part, and she's flying back, and she meets Tom Cruise, who's at the airport flying back, and they, bump into each other and whatever. And then she ends up on the plane with him. Stuff happens. And
stuff happens. My God.
He's a fugitive, so she kind of gets dragged into the thing because the people after him are looking at her now because she was on the plane with him. It just becomes a fun thing of them teaming up to. They have this special thing, like a battery thing that they're trying to keep out of the wrong hands. So yeah. And the guy who created the battery, they're trying to keep him safe as well. So, and it just lots of action stunts and things.
Yeah. So I had never seen this film, obviously, and I didn't know anything about it. Like, all I had seen is promo stuff of Tom Cruise, Cameron Diaz on a motorbike holding guns or whatever, and I knew absolutely nothing about the plot whatsoever. I knew that it was directed by James Mangold, who has done some brilliant films like Girl Interrupted, 3:10 to Yuma, Identity, Kate and Leopold. He did that one. He's done Logan, so many great films. Unfortunately, he also did Indiana Jones and the Dial of Destiny, but we don't talk about that. For every bunch of hits, you got to have a turkey. So yeah, I was really enjoying it, a lot. When it's sort of revealed, there was all this intrigue at the start. Okay, what is going on? Because Cruise bumps into her twice at the airport, and it's okay, something's going on here. And then that plane sequence, man, I was laughing my ass off. I'm just like, this is so brilliantly choreographed. It's still making me think, who is this guy? When she comes out of the bathroom and
and that's why I said make sure you get the extended version, because the theatrical cuts out snippets from a lot of the action
Oh,
scenes,
really?
and so some of that plane stuff is cut out in the
Oh,
theatrical
wow.
version.
Okay, cool, cool, cool. Because, yeah, I loved that scene. And then, yeah, like goes through this thing where he drugs her and, takes her somewhere else. I loved all the dialogue about eventually, when she's in the bikini and, how did she get into that and stuff. Like,
Oh, you're skipping to that.
yeah, yeah, yeah. No, I mean, but like in general, the dialogue between the two, I thought was really cool. Like, yeah, there were a lot of great sequences and stuff. But I kind of, after a little while, I was sort of like, I think this film should wrap up by now. Like, I did get the impression. Don't get me wrong, I liked it. I just felt it outstayed its welcome a little bit. I did think that it should have been shorter because I thought it ran out of steam in the third act. Like there was so many great action sequences, and by the third act, it's just kind of like, we're doing this again. And yeah, that was the thing as well. I sort of felt a little bit like, we've seen it before. Like, it didn't really try to do anything. Like with the Mission Impossible films, how they're always trying to outdo, and the John Wick films, they're always trying to outdo what's been done before. Whereas this film, I did sort of get the impression that it was a little bit run of the mill, but look, overall, I definitely enjoyed it.
I think that's a taste thing because for a movie like this, I don't care.
Yeah.
I don't need all my movies to do new things. I also am a fan of Hallmark movies, so obviously I can see the same thing done over and over and still enjoy it.
Yeah, no, that's totally fair enough. I also, and speaking of taste things, I'm not a fan of Cameron Diaz. I don't know. There's something about, no pun intended. There's something about her that just doesn't interest me at all. Like, I don't know. She sort of reminds me of the kind of woman that if you were walking through an Eastern European country, you would see her like 500 times walking down the street. Like, she just has that sort of Eastern European, typical sort of face. Like, yeah, I don't know. She doesn't really do it for me. I think if they had maybe put someone, and I know this is going to sound really superficial and selfish, but if they had put someone in that role that interested me more or appealed more to me, I might have actually enjoyed the film more. But I thought Peter Sarsgaard was really good. Like, even though he had a fairly limited role, Paul Dano was good as always. Yeah. So yeah, look, I liked it. I didn't love it. I wouldn't.
I didn't expect you to love it because most people
Right.
It's one of those
Yeah,
movies.
yeah. Like, I wouldn't, go out of my way to ever watch it again. But it's one of those films that if a group of people were like, "Hey, we're going to watch Night and Day," it's like, yeah, okay, like it's harmless. So yeah, no, I'm glad I finally saw it though. So, yeah, but yeah, that's all I got on Night and Day. All right, well, now moving on to a film that I forced upon you. That oh yes, actually, I didn't even need to rewatch. Sorry.
I was just going to say, which was a big blind spot of mine.
Yes, a movie that I just realised I haven't rewatched in the last few days or whatever because I only watched it last year, and it is a film that, oh my god, I've seen it so many times, and it is not only one of my most favourite horror films, but one of my most favourite films in general, and that is Rosemary's Baby from 1968, about a young couple who move into an apartment building to start a family, and there's a mysterious there's another neighbor, a female, who we'll get into that later because there's a reason why I'm mentioning her, but more importantly, there's this elderly couple who suddenly become very intrusive into their lives, and things start getting really, really weird. And Rosemary's husband, Guy, who's a struggling actor, suddenly becomes very successful, and also starts acting very weird around Rosemary. Anyway, she becomes pregnant, and she starts this whole big paranoia thing where it looks like there's somebody is manipulating her, and for some strange reason, and there are weird things going on in the building, and that's all I'll say, because we're going to definitely talk about this more in the sealed section with that ending. And I genuinely thought you were going to go 4.5 to 5 stars with this one.
Well, yeah, I mean, it's a classic horror
Oh yeah.
movie. I've seen, I think, three other Polanski movies, and I have liked them or loved them. So, as like director, I like horror movie that's like one of the big horror movies. I was expecting to love it, and yeah, I
All right.
didn't. I enjoyed it, but I didn't like think it was the
And
masterpiece
I've
that
got to know
nearly everyone else
why
was.
is that?
Well, I don't know. It just didn't grab
Right,
me.
right. Oh, that's such a shame, because yeah, I really had this pegged as a favorite for you. So, yeah.
I don't know if maybe it's like too overhyped because everyone thinks it's the best thing ever, but yeah, I don't know. I was into it at the beginning. It was interesting. I paused it at one stage to get a drink or something, and I was like 30 or 40 minutes in already, which I realized. But yeah, then I don't know, it just
Just didn't grab you, hey? Ah, that's such a shame. I look at it as a absolute masterpiece in terms of tension and paranoia, and like when Rosemary sort of starts figuring out more and more about that there are people out to get her and her baby, and it's like, who can you trust and stuff like that, and you got that scene in the doctor's office, and you think she's safe, and there's just, oh man, by the end of it, there's so much tension, it's incredible.
I didn't feel the tension.
Really? Oh, that's probably, yeah, I'd say that would maybe be what let it down for you, because that is what this movie is all about, is tension. And I think if you don't feel that, yeah, you're probably not really getting the full, enjoyment out of the film. But yeah, but no, look, I loved the performances in it. I just love everything about the film. But the reason I was mentioning The Neighbor before is because there is a sequel coming out later on this year, which you alerted me to. What was it called again? Was it?
I don't know. I didn't pay much attention because I hadn't seen it. I thought it was a prequel.
I mean, well, yeah. Sorry, that's actually what I meant.
And is it a series? I thought it was.
No, it's a
movie.
It's a movie.
Oh, of course, because you've got to make prequel movies to
Apartment
everything.
7A.
That's the thing at the moment.
Yeah. No, Apartment 7A. And it's going to revolve around Terry, the woman who initially had the Tannis root necklace and stuff, who, of course, they were sort of trying to, get Rosemary's fate onto, I guess. Oh god, I want to talk about the ending so badly. But yeah, no, I didn't even know that was a thing that was happening. But yeah, that is coming out later this year, so I'm really looking forward to that. I hope it's going to be a good film. But yeah, no, it's such a shame. Yeah, I'm sorry that you were a bit let down by the film, but yeah, I guess, yeah, we can't all love the same films. Yeah.
It happens.
It does happen.
What's interesting, sidebar, I noticed that while there's a lot of reviews saying how terrible it is that Roman Polanski made such a great film because he's such a terrible person, but all those reviews were like giving it 4 stars, 5 stars.
Oh, okay.
And it made me wonder if this whole like review bombing is really generational, because like from what I hear from people on podcasts that, teach film and all of that kind of stuff. So they are around young people. There's a lot of young people who won't watch old films, and some won't watch like anything before 2000. Like, why are you going to watch them? And so I wonder if that's the difference, that like, I don't want to say normal movie people, but a lot of movie people will be like this and say, yeah, Roman Polanski is a terrible person, but these are great films, so we're going to watch them and enjoy them and, give them a high rating because it's such a good film, rather than the people who come along and just give it 1 star because of who someone involved in it is, or because of the AI for 3 seconds thing, and they'll just like try and ruin the whole movie.
Look, I don't care what Roman Polanski has done in his private life or whatever. To me, this is still an absolute masterpiece. So many of his films are absolutely extraordinary. But yeah, no, this film, and it's weird because this film really is a very slow burning film, and it's 138 minutes long, 1 minute too long, but so it's like two hours, 18 minutes, which is a really long film. But I don't know, I find every single scene fascinating. I find, the sort of clues as Rosemary sort of pieces together what's going on, things like the the Scrabble letters scene, I thought that was so interesting. There's so many things I love about the film, but it all comes down to the ending. And
what's really interesting is I meant to watch this movie many years ago because I bought a Roman Polanski box set, and I watched Repulsion, and that's like 5-star masterpiece. And then I went to watch this one day, and the movie started and I could hear stuff, but I couldn't see anything, and I'm like, is this right? And then it kept going, and I realized, oh no, there's something wrong with my disc. I have a black screen with just the audio, and it wasn't streaming anywhere. And it was streaming at one stage, but I never got around to watching it. And of course, when I went to watch it this weekend, it's not streaming again. So I had to pay to rent it.
Oh, wow. Oh, that sucks. I mean, well, no, it doesn't, because you supported the film. So, there's that. But
yeah, it's just extra. Well, I mean, the thing is, it's not a bad film. I didn't dislike
you gave it 3.5.
But it just can't help but feel disappointed when it's such a beloved film that I was expecting to be
right.
good.
Right. Well, that's a shame. There was actually, interestingly enough, and speaking of Jason Isaacs, because he's in it, in 2014 they did a remake of it as a 2-part miniseries where they had Zoe Saldana in the lead role. And
is Jason Isaacs the husband?
No, I can't remember who. Oh, he was Roman Castevet, the neighbor.
So they made them younger.
The husband, Guy Woodhouse, was played by Patrick J. Adams, whoever the hell that is. But yeah, hang on, that guy. Oh yeah. But no, I remember I did see it, and I actually didn't mind it at the time, but it's been a very long time since I've seen it, so I'm kind of keen to rewatch it at some stage, because I really like Zoe Saldana.
It's on Stan.
Right, yeah. Because, Zoe Saldana, I think, is a terrific actress. So, yeah, but, yeah. Well, anyway, at least you gave it a go. Yeah.
Yeah, I don't know that it's going to be one that I revisit very often.
That's a shame. But anyway, all right. Well, so that pretty much takes care of everything that we can say that is non-spoilerish. So, how about we announce what we're going to be doing on the next edition of Dan and Frankie Go to Hollywood?
Yes.
Because it's going to be a very special edition, isn't it? Because it's
basically it's an excuse for me to kind of take over the things.
Exactly, because
and make it an extra special episode.
Because the next episode's coming out on your birthday.
Yeah.
Woo!
Which is going to be a terrible day for me because it's the last day of the month, which is my busiest day at work and means I'll probably be working later than normal. So that sucks.
Oh, and of course, the next day you've got to put up with everybody giving you a pinch and a punch. So you have chosen a film for us that,
one of the greatest films of all time.
if not the greatest. What do you got for us?
We're going to watch Encino Man.
We are. Not only are we going to watch it, we are going to talk the hell out of that film. That is one of the films that when I first ever met Frankie and we got talking about movies, at some point she mentioned her love of Encino Man. I'm just like, oh my God, are you serious right now? Because, that film means so much to me. And I know we only watched it not that long ago in one of our movie marathons, but whatever.
You can't watch this movie too much. As for the first time I saw it, I watched it every day for a week. Like, it's happening. We're getting all the polish.
Yep, and that is a film that I had a pirated VHS copy of back in the day. But unfortunately, it was one of the first films I'd ever encountered that was copy protected, and so every 30 seconds or so the screen would go all distorted. But you know what? It didn't stop me from watching the hell out of it. So,
but you only gave it 4 stars.
Yeah, I know. It's, it's...
I know, everyone has different rating systems.
Yeah.
Like, some people will reserve their highest ratings for brilliant movies, whereas I have my highest rating for brilliant movies or absolute favorites.
Yeah.
Because I love them so much that it, brings them up that high.
There's just something about it that... I mean, it is a trashy film. Like, it's silly. It is really silly and stuff. So there's just something about it that kind of stops me from going that extra star. But that's not to say that I don't love the film to absolute pieces.
That's the thing. I rate based on enjoyment, so that informs a lot of my ratings more than like movie quality, because it's just how I feel about it. Because after all, ratings are like, for me generally, or for people who, like you, who know my taste and might want to see how I feel about something. But I don't know. And then sometimes I come back and go, why did I give this film 3 stars? It should be 4.5. So, it's just a moment in time thing as well.
All right, so that's our main film, but we are also going to be going on with our second edition of our world-famous new segment called Hit or Shit, where we pick an actor or director. Last time it was Jake Gyllenhaal, and we each pick a movie that neither of us have seen of that actor's filmography. And we go forth, we check it out, and we determine if it is indeed hit or if it is nothing but a big steaming pile of number 2s. So
we had one of each last time.
We did,
we?
Yes.
What did we
Everest
have?
Was the hit, and Love and Other Drugs. Well, that was kind of shit. So. All right, so this time...
Your turn to pick this time.
Yes, well, this time round I have chosen Brad Pitt because that is an actor who both Frankie and I absolutely love, but when you look at his filmography, there are so many films, and I thought there's got to be a big lot that we've never seen before, and sure enough, there are so many that neither of us had seen. So, what would you... Do you want to hear what I've picked, or did you want to go ahead and tell us what you've picked?
Well, I'll go first.
Go for it.
And then hopefully you didn't pick the same one, because then I'll have to go looking for a backup.
I've got a standby, so you go ahead and tell me what you've got.
Well, there's actually a Brad Pitt movie that have been wanting to watch and have nearly watched recently, but I always put on other things instead. So my pick is Moneyball.
Ah, okay. No, that is not the one that I chose. But yeah, that's a film that I've Oh, actually, this is going to work really well because you've picked a film that is a sports ball film, which is the reason why I've been sort of put off wanting to.
Have you read the reviews?
I have not read the reviews.
There's lots of people saying that they don't care or like baseball, but they loved the movie.
Okay.
It's one of those kind of movies.
All right. No, that's fair enough. Look, I mean, obviously, I'll give anything a go. I, on the other hand, have picked a film that you ordinarily probably wouldn't have gotten into because it's a war film, and I have picked Fury from 2014.
Which I had never heard of, so
I've heard of it, and it's a film that I've been very curious about. But yeah, it's just one of those things I've never never gotten around to.
His army sergeant named
War Daddy.
Daddy. Commands a Sherman tank called Fury.
Yeah.
This sounds really interesting.
I am curious about this film. I think it's going to be one of those ones that, even though it's a war film, I think it's going to be, hopefully.
Yeah, I'm not anti-war film. It's just that generally they're upsetting, so it kind of puts me off watching them so much.
And I'm not.
Hey, Jason Isaacs.
Oh my God, is he? Oh shit, he is too.
Captain Wagoner.
And I'm not completely anti-sports ball films as long as they're somewhat interesting.
I mean, it's like your movie Blackberry. Like, who would think a movie about blackberries would be interesting?
Exactly. So, yeah. All right. So that is happening. Man, that is a diverse bunch of films.
You like picking war movies. You picked 1917.
I did, but
recently.
This one... Well, that one I picked because I'd seen it and I thought it was brilliant and thought you needed to see it.
And I'm just like, you're making me watch all these war movies.
This one I am genuinely curious about as well. So,
and looks like Brad Pitt has that Detective Loki hair.
He does. Yeah.
Happening. So that's interesting. Yep. No, Brad Pitt is one of those actors that I find him so much more. Like, I know when I was a teen. It was the 90s, so it was that whole like Brad Pitt versus Johnny Depp thing. They were like the big two in all the films, and obviously I was much more Johnny Depp. But I feel like now Brad Pitt is older. He's got more interesting, and he obviously is feeling good about life. How he just kind of obviously is doing film choices for what he wants rather than trying to just be A-list actor going for all the usual things. So, I mean, like Bullet Train was one of the best films of whatever year that came out, and so just he's doing fun roles like that. Yeah,
and that's not opinion either. That is absolute science. Whereas for me, when Pitt emerged in the 90s, especially when Interview with the Vampire and Legends of the Fall came out, and he had the long hair and everyone was just like, oh my God. But that was around the time when I was getting into acting and I was taking acting classes and getting small roles in things and stuff like that. And there's just something about the guy that magnetism, I mean, it's undeniable, it was just one of the reasons why he was one of the biggest things of the 90s. But I kind of, looked at him as almost like a inspiration in a lot of ways. And I've even got a book that, was like a biography of him and stuff. I went that far. Did you know, and this is no word of a lie, that he has a brother named Doug? It is true. He has a brother named Doug Pitt. Yeah. You look it up. It's true. I'm not making that up.
It's funny you mentioned Interview with the Vampire, because see, the thing, I mean, obviously I like long hair, so I did like the long hair, but he was too kind of, I don't know, like pretty boy, whereas I was more into darker stuff, which is why Johnny Depp appealed, and, I was getting into like Beetlejuice and Into the Craft and going down that road. But also Interview with the Vampire, which I love. He played Louis, who is like just such a dud character. Like, even in the books, he's so annoying in the books as well. Like, every time I reread the books, I skip the first one because, well, I mean, I've got the movie, I don't need to. And the second book, Lestat narrates, and because the first book is all about Louis. And then not Tom Cruise, but here's Lestat, who's a brilliant Lestat. Lestat goes on from there, and every time Louis turns up in the books, because he's so like just annoying and sad and just like brings everything down because he's got his issues, but he's just such a boring character. Lestat's so much more interesting. So I just never got. I always thought Lestat was the coolest, and Antonio Banderas as Armand, which is the only time I have been really happy about a deviation from the book, because that character in the book was like 15 when he was turned into a vampire.
Right.
So and he had like curly auburn hair. So then to have Antonio Banderas, who was like older with the long dark hair, I was like, I should be mad, but I'm not.
No, I mean, obviously, even after he ditched the long hair and everything and stuff, I mean, as you know, the movie Seven is my second most favorite movie of all time, and I just thought he was extraordinary. Like that dude just owned the 90s, So yeah, but it's in.
I just feel like he's one of those actors, like, some people get, I think, more interesting with age, and other people get less. Yeah. Like their heyday is when they're younger, and I just find him more fascinating now than I
absolutely.
used to.
And I think it's interesting that you and I both picked some of his more kind of recent films. Well, I know mine was like 10 years ago, but...
Well, I have to say, I wanted to watch Moneyball. It was already on my list, so I actually didn't even look at anything else. Right. So if I had looked, I might have found a movie that sounded more interesting. But I was just like, no, I just want to watch Moneyball.
Well, the one that I actually initially had picked straight away, because it was a film that... Well, okay, so at first I was kind of like, I think I wanted to see this film. Why was it that I haven't? And that was Cool World from 1992, the one that's a mixture of animation and stuff. But then I looked it up and saw the overwhelming amount of negativity that the film had, and how it's apparently boring as hell and all this sort of thing. And like, I know you don't go completely by people's opinions, but I sort of thought that one is almost like we're setting it up for a guaranteed shit. Whereas at least the two films we got here, who knows? We might love them, we might hate them. I don't know. But either way, that is a very diverse range of films we got for the next episode: Encino Man, Moneyball, and Fury. Never let it be said that we won't keep you people entertained.
Especially, a war movie at one end, Encino Man at the other end,
and Sports Ball, like in between. So in I know that is absolutely nuts. What are we even doing with ourselves? But anyway,
man, we should have. It'd be funny if, like, can you imagine if we'd gone like Pauly Shore route and had In the Army Now with Fury?
Yeah. Oh man, yeah. Maybe another time. All right. Well, that pretty much wraps up everything non-spoilerish. So. This is the part of the episode where we say goodbye to everybody who doesn't want to talk about spoilers, or not talk about, listen to spoilers. If you're sitting there talking to us like you're joining in on the conversation, welcome to our chat.
The number of times I've wished I could do that, listening to a podcast.
Oh, I know.
And a conversation's really interesting. I'm like, I wish I was having this conversation and could add my 2 cents.
And now here you are, the star of your very own. So, all right, we shall bid thee adieu. I am not going to put you on the spot by asking if you have any last words. And I noticed you just took a convenient drink, so you're dealing with that. So, yes, to everyone who is leaving us now, thank you for joining us. Hope you've had a good time, because that's what we're all about, and we will catch you on the next one. In the meantime, everybody else, come on, let's get spoilery. Oh man, Event Horizon, let's get spoilery. So like I said before, I want to talk about some of the deaths in this film, because man, there is some seriously brutal stuff in amongst those things. The one that I was sort of hinting on before, one of my favorite ones was when DJ, the doctor, played by Jason Isaacs, like gets freaking like laid down on the operating table by Sam Neill and just gutted. And then you see Neil picking up the wire pieces, and you're like, "Oh, what's he doing?" And then, of course, Miller walks in, and like DJ's just strung up, held by hooks and wires, with his guts splattered on the table below him.
It's always such a disturbing thing in movies when people are being cut up with a scalpel or something, like just out of the blue. So you're like, they can feel everything because, there's no anesthetic or anything and they're just being sliced open.
Another one of my favorite ones, and I know you don't really see the character die, but so when Smith, played by Sean Pertwee, is... he sees Sam Neill going into the Lewis and Clark, and it's discovered that he's taken an explosive with him, and it's like, oh my god. So when Smith goes down, he's just rummaging through all that stuff and everything, and then, he sees the clue on the wall. He's like, oh, the blood. Goes over to it, opens it up, sees that he's just got like 6 seconds left, and it's timing down. I adore so much that shot of his face where he just kind of like suddenly looks really worried, and then just closes his eyes, bows his head because he knows he's fucked. And that moment, that was just such a brilliant performance by Sean. I absolutely loved that moment.
Yeah, I mean, like, as much as I love Jason Isaacs, like, he was the standout character, so I was really sad when he died. Like, I figured he would, because that kind of movie. But it still made me sad. But at least he went quick.
Oh, did he though?
Well, a bomb exploded.
Oh, you said Jason Isaacs.
No, I said Jason Isaacs. I like him, but the other guy is my favorite.
Oh,
like
right.
Character.
Sorry. I misunderstood you. Okay, cool. Yes, that would have been very quick. And yeah, the moment where Peters, sees her son and goes and falls, like, that was pretty grotesque, but not, that sort of extravagant. But
I do wonder, though, like, by that stage that she didn't know that it wasn't real, like that she still went
No, but do you remember
him?
the bit, like, you see her pupil and you see the gravity drive in her eye, like, so the ship was kind of possessing her in a way, not possessing her, but telling her what to do, like, controlling her is what I meant. The ship.
So why didn't it just control everybody and just?
Because then we wouldn't have much of a movie. So how about you?
But that's why I thought it was just causing hallucinations, and why I didn't think it was taking over people. Because why did it?
No, it was influencing people. That ship was like the big equivalent of a giant influencer. But I also really liked that. Captain Miller. I mean, like, that was the ultimate sacrifice. He blows the ship up so the last remaining 3 can finally be jettisoned. But then, of course, the gravity drive has been activated to go back to hell, and he knows where it's going, and he's just like, okay, cool, I'm going there. Like, so he wound up going to that place, which is a fate worse than death.
Did he though? Because he blew up. Didn't it blow up?
No. The tail end of just the corridor blew up and set the lifeboat off, but then you see the tail end of it got like pulled down into the cloud. Like, it got taken back to the.
Oh, that's right. Yeah. The cloud went down. But
like, I mean, that is incredible. The fact that, like, he actually chose to go there instead of dying or whatever. Like, man, that's kind of mind blowing. But but no, that was pretty much all I wanted. I just wanted to talk about some of those deaths in that film. Did you have any spoilery things for Event Horizon?
No, I don't think so. I think that's
fair enough.
Covered the main.
Is
things.
the I don't. We already sort of touched on the plane scene in Night and Day.
Oh, the other thing that got cut that I was sad got cut because I love it. In the car action scene where he's jumping around the cars,
So
You know
good.
the bit where he goes to jump and then right then a delivery truck
Yes.
goes by and he crashes into it and bounces back into the
And the
car?
dog is in there, and I
Yeah.
laughed so hard in that moment.
That got cut out of the theatrical
No. Oh, wow. Okay, for everyone who's still listening, make sure you
because I
see the
love that
extended
scene.
version of that film.
Yeah.
But the plane scene, let's go into more detail on that. Like, that was really surprising. The fact that both the pilots get shot, and yeah, it's kind of like, what the hell is it? And then of course you sort of know that he's going to take over the plane or whatever, and that sort of thing. But
It's Tom Cruise, of course he knows how to land a
yeah,
plane.
in real life as well.
Yeah.
But yeah, no, that scene really grabbed me. I loved how everyone was just getting knocked out and shot, and one by one. Like, yeah, that was really cool.
It's kind of makes me a bit sad that Tom Cruise has gone really into action
Yeah.
movies. And they kind of have a bit of humor in, but like I just like to see him do more other kinds of movies in between. And because
Cocktail
I think he's
2.
really good in this, been really
We
funny.
need Cocktail
Oh, that
2.
was a bit
Risky
depressing
Business
though, that
2.
movie.
What else has he done that wasn't action?
But even like not even just comedies, but even just non-action movies, like he doesn't do a lot
Yeah, true. He's
now.
found
It's
his
just all
niche.
the big action
Yeah,
things.
yeah.
Yeah.
I don't think there were.
Not a bad thing, but it would be nice.
I don't think there were too many other spoilers as far as Night and
No,
Day.
it's
Like,
not that kind of
no. All right.
movie.
Let's talk about the ending of Rosemary's Baby. Did you at least think that was just mind blowing?
Well, it surprised me, and then how it just like cut suddenly,
Yeah.
and I don't know. It confuses me.
Yeah, it surprised the hell out of me. But I was shocked the first time I saw it because so for those who don't know, Rosemary gives birth to the child, which was the child of the devil, because all of these people basically had made a pact with the devil. Her husband was, made a pact so he could become a successful actor, in order for Rosemary to basically be the carrier of Satan's child. And so in the end of the film, she sort of hears voices coming through a wall and stuff, and goes to investigate. And she walks into this room holding a knife, and she sees this black crib, and this woman, one of her neighbors, is just like rocking it way too hard. And everyone's like, suddenly like, oh my God, she's in the room, like Rosemary's here. And you sort of, you're expecting that she's going to attack people or kill the child or something like that. But she then goes up to the thing, and of course, after the scream of, like, its eyes, what have you done to its eyes, or, whatever it is. And then she tells the woman, you're rocking it too fast, and goes over and starts mothering the child and accepts it. And it's like, what the fuck? Like, this is a movie where the bad guys win. And that
One thing that was good, like who knows what happens after, but in that scene, like it's the whole they're explaining to her everything because she finds out the baby's not dead after all. But then she's sitting in the chair and the husband comes
Yeah.
around and she just like hits him and is basically like,
Yeah,
"Get
yeah,
lost."
yeah.
So I'm like, well, at least there's that.
Well, there is actually a sequel to the film, and was it What Happened? Look What's Happened to Rosemary's Baby, which came out in 1976. And the synopsis for that is: baby Adrian is now all grown up and separated from his mother, wrestling with the occult influences that plague him and trying to outrun Satan himself. Only reason I haven't seen it is because I've heard a lot of really negative things about the film. And
Is that just made up for that? Like, or was there a sequel book?
no, I believe it was from another book. If I remember
Oh yeah,
correctly.
Ira Levin's the original writer as
Yeah,
well.
Ruth Gordon came back as Minnie Castevet for the sequel, but yeah, I've just heard so many bad things about it that it was one of those things.
Oh, that's quite a ratings chart on Letterboxd.
Oh wow, okay, yeah, I'm just looking at that where most people have given it a is that half a star?
Half, yeah.
I didn't want to watch it because look, it's not going to ruin the first one, but because I love the first one so deeply, I think I'll probably hate the sequel even more. Which is why I'm hoping that this prequel is going to actually, be any good. But no, there were a lot of things I loved about the first one. Things like when she goes into that doctor's office played by Charles Grodin, and he's assuring her that everything's fine, and you actually think that, okay, well, I thought, okay, she's going to be safe here, and then of course the husband and everyone turns up to get her again. It's like, oh man, like there is just nobody who can help this poor woman.
I didn't recognize him
right.
until I saw his name at the end, and I was like, just watched him be that annoying guy.
Yeah, exactly. We've had like 2 Charles Grodin, and now we're going to get 2 Jason Isaacs films in a row. Yeah, but no.
I just saw that prequel's going to Paramount Plus, so that's probably why I thought it was a TV series.
Right.
Because I just saw the headline and didn't read it, since I didn't know anything about the movie at that stage.
But yeah, no, I mean, to me, one of the things that made Rosemary's Baby that special was that ending. I just think it's one of the greatest endings in cinema history, and I know that sounds like a big call, but
well, I guess it's either do that or kill your baby. So, I mean, that's not gonna happen, so.
But anyway. That's pretty much everything I've got in terms of spoilers.
I like that they didn't show the baby.
Yes. Oh, that's another thing as well. Yeah. There was...
So it's just up to your imagination what it looks like.
Yeah. There was also a rumor, going back to our conversation last time, that Anton LaVey played the role of the devil, in the makeup and everything, when you get those brief images of him. But, that was just a rumor that was debunked. But yeah, interesting anyway. But yeah, all right, that's all I've got. I think this might be our longest episode that we've done. Yeah, you and your talky question time, like. No, that's fine. All right, well.
Well, I mean, we watched movies. That's what we're talking about most of the time. So.
Exactly. So yes, for everyone who's stuck around this long, thank you so much for joining us. To that guy that is walking Barkins right now, who we won't mention, we actually did it. We got through a whole episode.
Without the other one
either.
Yes,
I know. This is a landmark episode.
Wow.
So, yeah. I mean, he'll still be tickled at the fact that we kind of mentioned him, but without mentioning him. So, yeah.
Yeah. But the other guy...
Not at all. Don't even know who you're talking about. What? Anyway, yes, thank you to everybody for sticking around. Make sure you drop in next time for Encino Man, Moneyball, Fury, and more importantly, Frankie's 25th birthday. So, give or take a year or two. So, yes. In the meantime, if you want to come and chat with us, you can find us on the socials at Dan_and_Frankie. Or you can email us at danandfrankiepodcast@outlook.com or gmail.com. Yes, we've got 2 email accounts to handle all of the volumes of letters we get from you adoring people. Both of you. Thanks, Mum and Dad. So, yes, if you want to come and say hi. If you want to pose a question for us for next time, that would be actually pretty rad. So... if anyone wants to come up with a scenario or something that we can do for next time, by all means, go for it. But yeah, in the meantime, stay safe, watch lots of movies, and we will catch you next time.